$30, shoes starting at $40, and golf bags of all kinds starting at $50. You're invited to the Global Golf Retail Store Sidewalk Sale, located on 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh. Global Golf, home of the best deals in golf.
Day one, the hardest day. The day you hear,
"This is a type of blood cancer."
At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day one. To learn more and get help on any day, visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Nugent Hopkins now feeds the point, gets it right back from Bouchard as they overload the left side of the zone. They get it to McDavid out of the corner, right in front, and Draisaitl scores! Leon Draisaitl, overtime game winner with just 31 seconds remaining in overtime.
Well, if you're a hockey fan, last night was fun. Now, I wish that was Sebastian Aho, or Andrei Svechnikov, or Seth Jarvis, or insert Carolina Hurricane player into that highlight you just heard from Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night. I wish that were the case, but it's not. But don't worry, folks. We're going to talk a little hockey. We're actually going to talk quite a bit of hockey, let's be honest here. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria Vodenecker producing the show as always. And Victoria, let's go and get things started. Let's jump right into it. Last night, Edmonton Oilers overtime win 4-3 over the Florida Panthers. Victoria, can I get 6 more of those, please?
I know, right?
Can I get 6 more of those games? Like, how can you not? Are you not entertained?
I would love that.
That was wonderful.
We need more of that silver lady for the Edmonton Oilers. Have you seen her in the fans where she holds up the sign that says believe, but she's
painted all silver. It looks like a Stanley Cup. Yes.
Yeah, wearing like a silver pom-pom. His hair she's fantastic. I love her.
I did see that. But just the game last night, the fact that Edmonton scores early, minute 6 seconds into the game, Leon Draisaitl, then Florida bounces back, boom, boom, 2 quick goals themselves. Then a third goal early in the second. Then you get an answer back from Edmonton. Then you get another tying goal there in the third period. And then late in overtime, which was controlled entirely pretty much by the Edmonton Oilers, they cap it off with Draisaitl bookending the scoring. His second goal of the game off a beautiful pass by Connor McDavid, which is what you want, right? You in those big situations, you want your stars to step up, correct?
Of course.
Which is what we also saw from the Florida side of things. And looking who was scoring goals for them. Oh, Brad Marchand. Oh, there's Sam Bennett twice. Like, the big guys were there for Florida as well. It's phenomenal game one. Greg Wyshynski of ESPN after the game said Edmonton made a statement in game one.
Great win for them. Rallying from a 2-goal deficit, forcing overtime, withstanding a really, really strong start to the OT from Florida. And then Draisaitl cashes in on the power play, an unfortunate mistake by Thomas Nosek of the Panthers, putting the puck over the glass for a delay of game penalty. Pretty much the only penalty they're going to call in an overtime in the playoffs. It's going to be something like that. And then, the Oilers power play cashes in. And again, another point on this too, Florida entered this game with the best penalty kill in the playoffs. So the Oilers score against what had been a pretty tough penalty kill to get past.
Phenomenal comeback win. And Paul Maurice, the head coach of the Florida Panthers, also spoke after the game. Speaking of that comeback, what allowed the Oilers to come back into it?
These games are tight. I don't think that you have domination of the third period in tight games. So we're in pretty good shape at 3-1. I think we got some real good pressure. So they get it back, and then we had some plays that we didn't complete. I'm not really particularly worried about those. It's just the ebbs and flows of the game.
All right. He's not worried.
He's you know what? And he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. I said yesterday, Edmonton in 6. I'm on the record saying I think they split the first 2 games in the Rogers Center and up in Edmonton. I think they go down to Florida and down to Sunrise, and they split those 2 there. Edmonton wins Game 5, and they go on the road and win it in Game 6. That's my prediction for this series. So I'm not shocked that Florida lost the game. I would have been surprised if Florida won. I mean, they're up 3-1. I'm not surprised by that. It's a super evenly matched game. Evenly matched series, we should say. And it seems like Edmonton is that team of like, all right, we got if it's not now, then win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're back in the Cup Finals again. If it's not now, then win. You got a rematch. You know how to handle the situation much better than you did. Because remember, in 2023, the Florida Panthers lost to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Mm-hmm.
They experienced, okay, this is what it's like to actually be in a Cup Final. Next year, they come back, they win the whole thing. Now, I think Edmonton's kind of in that same position of, hey, you know what, we understand.
They just lost to the team they're playing against.
Yeah, exactly. You get that rematch, which is something that we saw back in 08 and 09 with Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Pittsburgh lost that first one. Young team that had young Sidney Crosby, young Jordan Staal, young Evgeny Malkin. They came back and won it the next year against a pretty veteran Detroit Red Wings team. So it's really not that – it's really similar in that regard. Connor McDavid did talk about Leon Draisaitl, the man who bookended the scoring yesterday, opened the scoring for the Edmonton Oilers, and capped it off with that power play overtime game winner. Connor McDavid just talked about just how good Leon is.
You can't put a number on it. He's invaluable. Does so many good things. Clutch, face-offs, you name it, he does it. Doesn't get enough respect or credit for his defensive abilities. When he's dug in, there's not many better, maybe nobody better.
Chris Knobloch, their head coach, again talking about a back-and-forth series. By the way, Leon Draisaitl,
he was phenomenal.
He would be the number one guy on any team in the NHL if it wasn't for Connor McDavid.
Right.
Oh, they just happen to have both these guys.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
How does that? Anyway.
Struck lightning twice.
Clearly. Chris Knobloch, their head coach, on how this series can go back and forth.
Well, there's going to be times each team's going to have their pushes, and to think that we're just going to dominate for 60 minutes is pretty naive from us. They're a really good hockey team, and when they do have their pushes, hopefully we can limit how long that is going to be. We're very fortunate in the second period that Stu made some really big saves in the second because of the quality of chances that they had, and very numerous of them. So, very happy with our guys. Stick with it, regroup after the second period, and have a good push in the third period. And for the most part in overtime, I thought we were pretty good there too. But yeah, we know that they've got better, and hopefully we've got some better too.
Back and forth is what I fully expect this series to be.
Oh, for sure.
100%. I mean, just look at the game last night in and of itself I think is going to be a microcosm of what this series is.
I wasn't surprised to see them come out hot, too, because Edmonton, if you watched them this season, if they kind of ease into a game and they get behind, it's such a struggle. But, man, and that's like with any team. Like, if you're not chasing it, you're going to do better. But yesterday, they were like, nope, we're all on board, coming out hot. Let's get this goal.
Yeah, all on it. But then guess what? Florida stayed calm the
Yeah.
whole time, which actually gets me into the second thing I want to talk about as we get things started here. I want Sam Bennett, and I want him for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Sam Bennett, who scored the first goal for the Edmonton Oilers, didn't touch his stick, just hits off his body. So there's a play in the first period where Sam Bennett is in the front of the net, which is something that I love. So going to the front of the net, has his skate tied up with the Edmonton Oiler player, falls back into the goaltender. Maybe he kind of sold it a little bit. Yeah, I think he did.
He knew which direction he was going.
He knew.
Yeah.
He knew,
Yeah.
but that's what the savviness of a player like Sam Bennett brings.
Yeah.
But he was to the front of the net, gets contact with his skates, falls over into the goaltender, Stuart Skinner, and then sure enough, a shot by Carter Verhaeghe comes and just hits off his leg as he's basically laying on or part of Stuart Skinner. Sam Bennett has the puck just ricochet off his leg and go into the net. Boom, goal, Sam Bennett. Now, Edmonton comes back and challenges it, which we can ask Rob Brindamore what his thoughts are on goaltender interference.
Yeah. Well, we know.
Nobody really knows what it is. But nonetheless, Edmonton challenged the goal. the challenge fails, so you instantly go into a delay of game penalty, and Florida scores on that power play right there by Brad Marchand. So boom, quick, bam. Before you know it, Florida's up 2-1. But it's the mentality of Sam Bennett in the playoffs is what wins this time of year. People are like, well, Dennis, they lost yesterday. Yeah, last time I checked, Sam Bennett's name's on the Stanley Cup, and he's gotten to the Stanley Cup Finals for 3 straight years with Florida.
And it's one game.
Yeah, and it's one game. And he scored 2 goals in this game.
Right.
If you look at the last 3 postseasons, these 3 Stanley Cup runs by the Florida Panthers, looking at Sam Bennett's numbers, this includes game 1 yesterday. Over these last 3 postseasons, he's played in 57 games, 24 goals and 23 assists in those 57 games. To give you context, over the course of an 82-game season, that's 35 goals, 33 assists. That's what Seth Jarvis puts up, right? That's Seth Jarvis-type numbers.
Right.
Over an 82-game season, 68 points. Except this isn't the regular season. This is the postseason, where there's space is tighter. It's much more physical. It's a lot more difficult to score this time of year. In his career, Sam Bennett has only reached 50 points in his career in a season one time. One time. But in the postseason, in particular over these last 3 years, he scores at nearly a 70-point pace in the postseason. Again, where you see production dip from players.
Yeah.
He's only hit the 20-goal mark 3 times in his career. But in the postseason, he scores at a 35-goal rate. That's the production that you're talking about in the postseason from Sam Bennett.
It's impressive.
And yesterday we had Eric Tulsky, the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, on this show. And I asked him, I even specifically mentioned the name Sam Bennett. And how do you balance out regular season production, but also the mentality that goes into paying off at this time of the year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, our team plays a playoff style all year long. You know, we play an aggressive, heavy game, and we expect people to grind along the walls and win those battles and compete and apply pressure. And so if someone's going to be a fit for our team, they're going to be a fit regular season and postseason just because of the way we play. You know, so we're looking for people who are comfortable in that kind of high-pressure game and, you know, giving their full intensity and going against someone who's giving their full intensity. And when we find that, we think that'll fit year-round for us.
That's why you saw Logan Stankoven has that mentality.
For sure.
That's why we saw that this postseason. I think it's why Carolina Hurricanes fans are like, oh, that kind of guy.
We're excited for that.
Jarvis plays with that mentality. Jordan Stahl, Aho, these guys play with that kind of mentality. But there are a lot of great players who don't, that are really good in the regular season, but in the postseason don't have that approach and have that mentality. I said this about Martin H. I've said it before. I'll say it again. One of the reasons why they were so willing to part ways with Martin H. is like, yeah, look at his regular season numbers. We know what he can do. But what happens in the postseason when space is tighter? And it's a lot harder to get to the middle of the ice. You can't just play on the perimeter. You got to get to the middle of the ice. He disappeared. Sam Bennett's the opposite. Sam Bennett doesn't have the regular season production like Martin H. does, but he produces in the postseason. And I even asked Eric Tulsky about how earlier this week, Rob Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, was on this show with Adam Gold earlier this week. And Rob Brindamore said there needs to be more from the center position. He, in particular, mentioned Kokoniemi, Jesperi Kokoniemi. Said, yeah, probably needed more impact from him. So I asked Eric Tulsky yesterday, how much of an emphasis are you putting on building the strength down the middle of the ice, much like the Florida Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, we want to get better across the board. And center is a very important position. D is a very important position. You know, our wingers are a strength for our team. I think anywhere where we find opportunity to improve, we're going to take it. Center is obviously a focus around the league right now, and something that if we see opportunities there, we will definitely jump on them. But, you know, we do not want to pigeonhole ourselves as being narrowly focused on one thing and missing other opportunities. We want to take every opportunity we can.
That last part he said about, hey, don't shoehorn yourself into something. Don't pigeonhole yourself. That makes perfect sense, and nor should you. I mean, unless you literally only had one thing you needed to go get. But again, if there are other opportunities present themselves, by all means, go for it. By all means, go for it. But it goes to show you what Carolina, just watching that game last night, what Carolina needs to get to that point. So they're playing last night, not watching it. And it's down the middle of the ice. Again, you look at Alexander Barkov, Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell, 1, 2, 3 down the middle of the ice. Connor McDavid, Evander Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Leon Draisaitl can play down the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Like, he can play center. Now, he'll bump over to the wing sometimes, but he can play in the middle of the ice. That's your that is your standard right there. That's your competition. We always try and do, like, they say leagues and teams are copycats. Well, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the center market in the NHL this offseason, it's thin. Real thin. And one of those guys that was potentially on the market, Brock Nelson with the Colorado Avalanche, re-signed with the team. He's not available. Now, with every single goal that you see Sam Bennett score, you have a cash register sound effect there, Victoria?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, every time. Exactly. I hit it again because he scored twice last night. Mm-hmm. Bingo. Every time Sam Bennett keeps scoring, that's what's going to keep happening. 18 games this postseason, Sam Bennett has 12 goals and 6 assists.
Yep.
In 18 games.
Super impressive.
Jesper Kotkaniemi this season for the Carolina Hurricanes in the regular season had 12 goals.
Not good.
That's my point. That's where Carolina needs to get better. It's right there. And they got Sam Bennett's, those guys don't grow on trees. Again, that guy's only hit 50 points once in his career. And it was actually this season. He had 25 goals and 26 assists. But it's, again, what he's doing in the postseason.
Yeah.
That is where you're trying to make your money.
It's so valuable to have someone like that. Because they're hard to come by. It's usually the opposite in the playoffs. So the fact that he does, the rest of the team gets him there to the postseason. And then in the postseason, he's like, all right,
I got you. He's like, I got you.
We're good.
I got you. And again, it's not just the fact that he's producing. It's the mentality that you have to have. Do you go to the front of the net with your stick down on the ice, willing to take cross checks, elbows, get tripped, whatever it is, to pay that price in order to get to the spot where you can produce and score? We saw that yesterday again.
Mm-hmm.
Again. It's not the only postseason action going on. Seattle Gold Show, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Tonight, Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
We have game 1.
Yes.
We have another game 1. NBA Finals. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Indiana Pacers. I'll openly admit, I'm not the biggest fan of NBA regular season basketball.
Same.
It's just...
It is what it is.
It kind of drags.
Yeah.
It kind of drags, and honestly, you get to the point where it's like, all right, we know who the top, 7 teams are.
Right.
And you know that actually probably going into the season. So, NBA regular season basketball, I just don't have the bandwidth for it as well. Especially we got Canes hockey, all the college basketball that we have, NFL, college football. We have so much going on in this state. It's hard to follow NBA regular season basketball. But I have to admit, NBA postseason basketball, much more compelling. We actually see teams and players individually play defense. Mm-hmm. And it just makes for a much better game. Been much more fun. I don't know if you've seen this, Victoria. I've seen this around online that a lot of people are kind of like, it's just Oklahoma City and Indiana. This is our NBA Finals. Meh.
Just lackluster. Meh. No big deal.
Or sit back and enjoy.
Right.
Last time I checked, the league MVP is sitting right over there for the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, by the way, was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. Just throwing that out there.
About that.
Speaking of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, this is the first time of him getting to the NBA Finals. And I say this about sports. I talk about this about rookies, and talk about this with players getting into postseason situations they've never experienced before. There's the human element to all this. There's emotion. It's not just video games, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander discussed the emotions of being in the NBA Finals yesterday.
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap my head around. To know that we're four games away from a achieving the ultimate dream as a kid. It's so crazy to like be so close, but also like winning 4 games at this stage is very hard and is a far ways away. So just to know like you're close but still a little bit far is like, it's a little bit tricky. It throws you off, but it's been super fun.
You look on the other side for the Indiana Pacers, you have Pascal Siakam, who's a member of that team, who won a championship a few years ago with the Toronto Raptors. So he has that experience, not only just being on a team, but also contributing on a team in a very significant way. And that's what you're going to hopefully see if you're an Indiana Pacer fan. You see that Pascal Siakam can help guide the young guys who've never experienced this before, like a Tyrese Halliburton and others, about how to handle playing in an NBA Finals. I know Tyrese Halliburton was part of the U.S. national team that just won an Olympic gold medal. Halliburton didn't really play a whole lot. And it's also a different type format because once you get to the medal rounds, it's just one and done. A series is a lot different. There's a different pace to these games. Pascal Siakam on how much he has talked to his teammates about his experience in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it's also an advantage that our coach has been through it, so I think he can give that message also, like from the coaching kind of point of view. And I think for me, just as a player, just understanding, like we had this conversation about, again, a day like today, like if you don't know, you don't know about this day. It's like, okay, it's going to be like that for almost every practice. Probably not to this scale like today, but a lot of media and it's a lot of exposure and people everywhere. And but I think the message has just been, let's be us. Like, I mean, we've been us throughout this point, and we're not going to change now. So I think just understanding everything that's happening, embracing it, it's a blessing. Everyone is watching us. It's a huge moment. Embracing it, but also just understanding the opportunity that we have in front of us.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Indiana Pacers, the head coach of Pascal Siakam and that crew, won the NBA title back in 2011 with the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars, good Lord, I got hockey in my mind.
Yeah, it's
the
hockey
Dallas
brain
Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
That other Dallas team.
The other, not the Cowboys.
Not the Cowboys.
But the Dallas Mavericks, 2011, their head coach, Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle, now the head coach once again of the Indiana Pacers, talked about how both the Pacers, Thunder, similar in many ways.
Well, there are probably more similarities than differences. Oklahoma really, when you talk about their team, I mean, the first thing you got to talk about is their defense. And we're an improved defensive team. They're a historically great defensive team. And, they just, you win 68 games in a regular season. I think they've won 80 games to this point. It's just it's a staggering accomplishment. And so I think fans will see the similarities and they'll see the differences pretty readily as they begin to watch the series.
You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. You talk about a team that mostly has built itself up through the draft or acquiring young players. This is where I feel like I always try and bring this stuff back home. Because it's like, it's Oklahoma City and Indiana. What does that have to do with the state of North Carolina? I look and see how these teams are built. And, for example, the Oklahoma City Thunder, how they've built their team. And how can the Carolina Panthers, how can the Carolina Hurricanes, how can the Charlotte Hornets build their rosters in a very similar way? If you look at a lot of the draft picks that the Oklahoma City Thunder have had over the last few years, multiple first-round picks, because they've acquired this draft capital over the years while acquiring also young talent. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was initially drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, was traded to the LA Clippers, was there in the Clippers for a year. He was part of a trade that included Paul George. So he goes from, after a year in LA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of picks go over to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Paul George goes over to the Clippers. Well, those picks, and also some of the other trades that they've made, like James Harden getting traded and others, that they were able to get guys like Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams drafted, some of these other guys that they were able to acquire, and they have all these future first-round picks over the next few years that they have control of. Now you're also in the NBA Finals. You've built up this really good young roster, and you have all these future assets in order for you to continue to build and retool your roster as needed over the next several years. Whether you want to use multiple picks to go acquire a star or just keep drafting really good players. Trust your scouting department. That's kind of what I say, tying it back into local. what the Carolina Hurricanes have going forward. A lot of added draft capital. Hey, you got the Logan Stankoven from Dallas. You got extra first-round picks. You have all this cap space that you can use. It's amazing. The Oklahoma City Thunder really is the ideal model of long-term building for a franchise. And that's what I'm hoping to see with the Carolina Panthers, that long-term building. I want to see it with the Carolina Hurricanes. I want to see it with the Charlotte Hornets. Acquire the good young talent now. Try and build as much draft capital you can for the future. That way you just have more darts to throw at the dartboard. Because the more darts you have, the more likely you are to hit. The more likely you are to hit. And that's exactly what Oklahoma City has done. That's how they've built themselves up into being a championship caliber team. I'm excited to see what this series looks like. I'm not going to give a prediction. I don't know the two teams well enough to give you a prediction. But I'm going to go watch some of the best young players in the NBA. Really the future of the league. I mean, Gilgeous-Alexander is the league MVP this season. Tyrese Halliburton's postseason run has been pretty phenomenal to watch.
Yeah.
Like, this is the future of the NBA. Guess what? LeBron's fading out. Chris Paul fading out. Steph Curry, these guys are fading out. Not saying they're still not relevant, but it's not going to be for much longer. This is the future. You can honestly say this is the now. Hey, we don't got next. We got now. That's what these young guys are going to show right here in this game. Chet Holmgren missed his whole rookie season because of an injury, but Chet Holmgren was the number 2 overall pick just back in 2022. It's a really, really good team. It's a really, really fun way to watch basketball. These young guys, the way they play it in the postseason. Sit back and enjoy. If you have no dog in the fight, that's fine.
It's even better because then you don't stress yourself out.
Exactly. Just sit back, watch, and enjoy.
Yeah, let's play off anything. Play off anything's usually fun.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria Vodnecker producing the show as always. Speaking of a team that might be stressing out, a basketball team that might be stressing out this upcoming season, UNC. They reportedly have $14 million in NIL for their men's basketball team this upcoming season. Did Hubert Davis do enough? We'll discuss in 4 minutes.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
The Indiana Pacers will head to the NBA Finals.
Basketball tonight. Indiana, Oklahoma City. The NBA Finals.
SGA 1-on-2 goes up and slams it home.
Game 1. Tip-off at 8:30 on your audio home for the NBA Finals. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Halliburton buries a bomb.
Father's Day is this month, and maybe it's time to change up those cookout plans and do something a little more exciting. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and my dad and I are no strangers to taking the bike out when the weather is this beautiful, the nights are a little longer, and you're just ready to get out of the house. A lot of people probably have that same idea, which means more traffic and unfortunately more potential for an accident. I know I've personally been there before, but so have my friends at Law Tigers. If you're ever in an accident on your motorcycle that wasn't your fault, always remember to call Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders too, so they know the value of your bike, your gear, the investment that you've made, and what it's like to go through an accident. Case evaluations are always free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. There will be no French Open women's singles 4-peat. It's never happened in the Open era. There's never even been an attempt. Monica Seles and Justine Henin won 3 straight, but neither played in the tournament that would have made it 4. Iga Swiatek was going for her 4th title in a row. She lost in the semifinals to Aryna Sabalenka, who won 7-6, 3-6, 6-love. Saturday's final will be Sabalenka versus the winner of the match just underway. Coco Gauff just won the first game with Loïs Boisson, who has been a revelation in Paris. She's 2 wins from authoring what would have to be the most unlikely championship in tennis history, never ranked in the top 150, and due to last year's torn ACL, that ranking coming in was 361. A native of France, Boisson got a wild card entry, and she's won 5 matches, the last 2 against players ranked in the top 10. With this tennis update, John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something?
Boat wins!
Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing?
Boat wins!
Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing?
Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
I know the term make or break, Victoria, is used a lot when it comes to sports. Might be overused. But I was trying to think of a better way to describe this upcoming season for North Carolina basketball. It feels like it's make or break for Hubert Davis. This season is make or break in my eyes for Hubert Davis. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon here on the Adam Gold Show. UNC basketball from this past season. By the way, there are reports out there. I know multiple places were reporting that UNC basketball had a large influx of money for NIL, that the school is investing more money in NIL for their roster, which makes sense, especially with all the money they're giving to their football team as well. But Hubert Davis talked about how they need to have more money and they needed to change things this offseason. Reportedly $14+ million in NIL money for their basketball program. I'm sure some of that is also probably tied in with the revenue sharing. But we're talking about $14 million for your roster. Now, UNC basketball from last year lost R.J. Davis, Jalen Withers. Those guys graduated. They're out of eligibility. Jalen Washington transferred. Van Allen Lubin transferred. Elliot Cadeau transferred. Ian Jackson transferred. Drake Powell goes to the NBA. I'll throw in Cade Tyson, who was kind of the ninth guy. Played in most games, but didn't really have a significant role. Not as big. Didn't contribute as much as I'm sure as UNC hoped to when they got him from the transfer portal last year. But he transferred out as well. The only guy that you really have back from last year's team that was a contributor during the season on a consistent basis was Seth Trimble. I know there's James Brown, who was a freshman last year, plays down in the post, got some playing time sparingly last year. He's back as well. But from your core group of guys that played last year, your top 8-9 guys, Seth Trimble's the only one that's back. Now, Hubert Davis did say after the season, Victoria, that he wanted to have a general manager in place, which they now have with Jim Tanner, who's an NBA agent, UNC alum, super connected with a bunch of people. So not only got the general manager, but now there's also been this investment financially, again, based off what we're seeing in the reports that are out there. So the question is, did Hubert Davis do enough with the money to build the roster that could exceed last year's disappointing season? And I'll say last year's disappointing. I'll say it. I mean, I'm sure Carolina will look at you and say the exact same thing. Disappointing year. Now, they added Jaron Stevenson from Alabama, 6'11" guy who can stretch the floor, who's from the state of North Carolina, was recruited heavily by Hubert Davis, by the way, before he decided to go to Alabama, but transferred back up here to the state of North Carolina. Henry Visar, you got the 7-footer from Arizona, a true big in the middle. Yeah, Kyan Evans, the guard from Colorado State, is a point guard who's also can shoot pretty well. Jonathan Powell, 6'6" wing from West Virginia. This guy's a three-point. He just what he does. He shoots threes. Not the highest percentage, but 6'6" guy that's not afraid to step outside and shoot. You got Jaden Young, a 6'4" guard from Virginia Tech. Those are some of their big transfers that they have coming in. They added some freshmen with Caleb Wilson, who's a big top 10 recruit. He's a 5-star, 6'9" forward. They added Derek Dixon and Isaiah Dennis, a couple 4-star shooting guards. They're about 6'2", 6'3". Is this roster going to exceed what last year's team did? Now, these are all Hubert Davis guys. They're all picked. There's no carryover from any previous stuff with Roy Williams, which is what R.J. Davis was. I'll get that here in just a second. Now, the roster, obviously different. You really only have, I'll say, 2 guys. Seth Trumbull, one being the real one guy back from last year. Like I said, James Brown played somewhat. That's it. It's a whole new roster, basically. It's no different than what Duke had going into last year. Because Duke had a bunch of guys leaving the transfer portal. The only guys that really came back were Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster. Pretty much everyone else was new. At least that contributed and played last year. Everyone else for Duke's roster last year was new. So it's really no different here with Carolina this year. But when you have nearly, by all reports, 3 times the amount of money tied up with your roster this year compared to last year. Again, these are all Hubert Davis-picked guys. This is year 5 for Hubert. Remember, year 1 went to the national championship game after they got that hot run in February and March. They missed the NCAA tournament in his second year. Made the Sweet 16 a couple years ago, was a 1 seed, and then last year, barely made the NCAA tournament. They had to go to Dayton and play in the first 4. They were team number 68 of 68. Hey, you're in, but that's not what Carolina's standards are. It's been up and down. That's a lot of volatility. If you have a repeat of last season, ain't going to fly again in Chapel Hill. The standard's just too high. And Hubert Davis knows that as well as anybody. Played at Carolina, obviously coached there. He sees the rafters. He's been part of it. He knows. He acknowledged that this after the season ended, he acknowledged himself that things needed to change with how they run things at Carolina. And that just the Carolina Blue and the Argyle ain't good enough anymore. The way they recruit, how they spend their money, getting a general manager, a lot of that stuff, the support staff all needed to change. It needed to adapt. Okay, so now you made those changes this season. You had the influx of money. Now it's on you as the coach to go see it through. Because again, if you have another year like you did last year, it ain't going to fly. It's just simply not going to pass. Now, Hubert Davis hasn't recruited a player. I'm sorry, I'll say this again. A Hubert Davis recruited player has never made first team All-ACC. R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot were Roy Williams recruits when Roy Williams was head coach. Not saying Hubert Davis didn't have an impact in recruiting. Assistant coaches definitely do. But Armando Bacot and R.J. Davis, those guys were Roy Williams recruits. Now, I understand that R.J. Davis was ACC Player of the Year a couple years ago, was the shooting guard of the year in college basketball. I understand the Jerry West Award winner. I get all that. So I'm not discounting that at all. But again, Davis and Bacot are the only players to make first team All-ACC since Hubert Davis became the head coach. Does this team have the talent? Is there who on this roster that I just read to you, all those guys, who's the first team All-ACC guy? Because, again, Arte Davis, Armando Bacot were brought in under the Roy Williams regime. And they're the only guys that have been first team All-ACC. Kyle Filipowski, Shire recruit, first team All-ACC. Cooper Flagg, ACC Player of the Year, first team All-ACC, Shire recruit. Shire's going into year 4. Does this team have the talent? Where's the All-ACC performer on this team? That's the big question I have going in. Not saying these players aren't good. That's not what I'm saying at all. Maybe it is Caleb Wilson, that 5-star recruit, the top 10 recruit, the big 5-star, 6'9" forward. Maybe it's him. It could be. Very well could be. But this team doesn't have the talent. Because if you have another year like you did last year, it ain't going to fly. And it would not be shocked if Carolina decided to make a change. Now, their style of play, what they're known for, Carolina basketball, Hubert Davis said that they're not changing that. Like, their philosophy on the court isn't going to change. Now, they'll adapt and tweak, obviously, to their players. But what they're known for, playing fast tempo, offensive rebounding, that should stay the same. I have no problem with that. I'm not saying they should change their style of basketball. Their style of basketball has worked. But this is a big year for Hubert Davis. Hubert Davis definitely has to get it done this year. All eyeballs. And you know what? Some people want to say thin ice. Some people want to say hot seat. Pick your temperature. It's not a comfortable one.
Yeah.
Not a comfortable one for Hubert Davis. And that's okay.
Sure.
But hey, you know what? Hubert Davis, you can cool the hot seat. You can thicken the ice, however you want to describe it. You go out there and you win this season.
And I'm sure he's aware of it, too, because last season there was definitely talk of it.
Oh, yeah.
So he's at least going into this season knowing, like, I hope things work out a little different.
They need to.
Yeah.
They simply need to. But again, you have the money and everything invested into things now. Take care of it. Take care of it now. It is the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox taking care of things for you today. Sitting in for Adam Gold. Victoria producing the show, as always. We saw a couple one-timers last night in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Saw a couple of those yesterday. A couple beautiful goals, including a game winner by Leon Draisaitl. We have our own version of one-timers coming up next.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle.
Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy, you're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
As public power customers, we experience fewer outages and faster restoration than customers of other electric providers. But the benefits of having a locally owned electric system go far beyond unbeaten reliability. Our local public power employees support our community, providing electric hookups for events, installing and maintaining ballpark lights, holiday lights, traffic lights, street lights, and more. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's the value of public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
This is Adam Gold.
I did love that Rod video with him, though, when he was trying to communicate.
Yeah, you speak hockey.
And he was like, it's okay, you don't need to know this, you know hockey. And I was like, oh, heartstrings. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria producing the show as always. Last night we saw a 4-3 overtime win by the Edmonton Oilers. And an absolutely just fun game one. And I hope that's a precursor of what every game we're going to see looks like for the Stanley Cup final. Now, do I wish it was the Carolina Hurricanes? Obviously.
I saw that. I know you wanted to say Panthers because for a second, maybe not.
You know,
because I keep saying there are times where I talk about it and I'll accidentally want to say Panthers, but it's also confusing because the Florida Panthers are playing.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. So I have actually not only filled in for Adam Gold on this show, but I've actually filled in for Adam Gold doing when he does Storm Watch and Aftermath pregame and postgame on 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh, which is the flagship station for this show. And I actually did a preseason game where it was the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. And it was obviously right there when football season was underway. And I just said it right from the top. I was like, just to let you know, folks, there will be multiple times where I say Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
It happens.
Bear with me. And sure enough, I actually did just fine until postgame.
Oh,
postgame was the one time I screwed up. One time postgame, I was like, I went this whole time.
Oh,
and it was like the last segment of the postgame. I actually accidentally said Carolina Panthers when I meant to say Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So you know, trust me, I get it. It almost happened.
Yeah.
I caught myself.
Caught it, though.
Caught myself. We did see some one-timers last night, Victoria. Let's serve some up ourselves.
Okay. So, just reminding anyone that you can contribute on YouTube through the stream. You can @ me on Twitter, V to the Victoria with some underscores in there. You know the gist of it. But we do have one today from Matthew, who wants to know thoughts on the Canes picking up Marco Rossi to serve as 2C from the Minnesota Wild.
All right, so yes, Marco Rossi is a center possibly coming from the Minnesota Wild. I think he's a restricted free agent, if I remember correctly. I remember reading about this on The Athletic earlier today about some potential landing spots for Marco Rossi. And I think it was actually Corey Lavalette, who writes for the North State Journal, also does write for the Athletic some as well. He actually mentioned about how there is a need for center behind Sebastian Aho. At least someone that, if there's even one out there that's better than Aho, okay, I ain't going to complain if Aho's your quote-unquote second center.
Yeah.
I'll take that 10 times out of 10. But the big question that he brings up is fit. Does he fit well in with what the Carolina Hurricanes do? He is a bit on the smaller side. And Corey Lavalette made a great point. It's like, look, you already have somewhat of a small lineup. Aho's not a big guy. He's not a big guy. He's not tiny. He's just kind of in the middle. He's not the biggest guy out there. But Jarvis is small. Jackson Blake is not that big of a guy. Logan Stankoven's not that big of a guy. You got to have some size that works up front. So, yeah, you could go make a move for Rossi from Minnesota. But, again, I still, like Corey Lavalette mentioned, the exact same thing. So I'm going to give him credit on it. I thought the same thing. He wrote about it as well. I just don't know if it fits. Not that he's a bad player, but this is also a guy that got put down on the fourth line in the playoffs for Minnesota and was down at like 10, 11 minutes a game. Yeah. I don't know if that's like, yeah, let's just resurrect a career here in Carolina. That's a major question mark. If you're going to trade and acquire for a guy like that, I'm not risking a whole lot to try and get him. That's just my mind.
Yeah. Well, we've got another one fresh off the press from Brooklyn. If a star like Marner is brought onto the wing, which guys move down, Svetch or Jarvie?
It's a really good question. So, Mitch Marner is a right-handed shot, which I know generally you like to have right-handed on your right wing. Now, there are some guys that like to play on their offside. I will say this as someone who plays hockey, and I definitely know my intermediate beer league hockey obviously compares to the NHL, right?
Of course.
But I'm a left-handed shot. I hate playing on my right wing. Because I hate receiving passes on my backhand. So it's a preference thing. Some guys don't mind it. Some guys hate it. Me, I like playing on either center or on my left side. That's just what I prefer as a left-handed shot. Now, he's a right-handed guy. He might prefer to play on his off wing. Teuvo Teravainen liked playing on his offside. Alexander Ovechkin is a right-handed shot, plays the left wing. So not saying it's bad or wrong, it's just sometimes it's preference. But generally you see right-handed guys playing on the right side, left-handed guys playing on the left side. That way you're not receiving passes on your backhand when you're transitioning from defense to offense. That being said, I would assume that Svetch will be the one that goes down. I would assume that. Jarvis can play on his offside. We've seen it. When Jackson Blake was up, Jarvis played on the left side. I think Svetch will be the one that would go down in the lineup because I think you're opening up more favorable matchups for him. Would be my guess. Imagine this, Victoria.
Yeah.
If they do sign Mitch Marner, we're actually going to dive into this later on in the show, but if Carolina Hurricanes do sign Mitch Marner, and your top line is Aho, Jarvis, and Marner, and then I have a pair of wings of, let's say it's Taylor Hall and Jackson Blake as your third line wingers, and your second line is Andrei Svechnikov and Logan Stankoven as your second line, or intermix those guys however you desire. If those four guys I just mentioned, Svetch, Hall, Stankoven, Blake, as my second, third line, my middle six wingers, I just got to find them guys in the middle that can get those guys the puck. That's the only thing you need to find. Because then you're looking at Stahl, Martinook, and a combination of either William Carrier or Mark Jankowski as your quote-unquote fourth line. And you still know what that group will bring to you on a night-in and night-out basis. It's a pretty damn good lineup.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty damn good lineup. So, no, I would probably move Svetch down because he's probably going to get more favorable matchups, knowing that other teams' top defensive pairs and top center is going to be trying to be matched up against Aho's line. I think it helps Svetch out entirely.
Yeah. Well, sticking with hockey, so last season we saw the very rare occurrence that a Conn Smythe winner won from a losing team.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case this year, considering it's the same two teams and Connor McDavid is on one of them, not saying that the Oilers will lose, but how do you feel about a Conn Smythe winner coming from the losing team?
I don't mind it. Again, it's who the most valuable player of the playoffs is. And McDavid dragged his team last season.
One-handed.
Just about to get into the postseason last. Not get into the postseason, but through the postseason last year. The numbers and stuff, the stats that he put up, and just the way he was all over the ice, played in all situations for Edmonton last year. They were down 3-0, and he was a major reason why they got back into that series and forced to Game 7. Again, it's playoff MVP, and he was an absolute MVP last season for them. And he was the best player of the playoffs last year. I had no problem with it. I really don't. If you want to tell me Sergei Bobrovsky should have been the guy, I wouldn't disagree with you at all. Like, I wouldn't argue against that.
Yeah.
If you thought Bobrovsky should have been it last year for the Florida Panthers. I was actually kind of surprised because you tend to see someone from the winning team win the Conn Smythe, but I had no problem with it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really have no problem with it at all.
Well, this will probably last but not least.
All right.
So this one is from Levi. How far do you think last year's Cup run team would have gone this year? Speaking of the Canes.
How much further they would have gone last year compared to this year compared to last year? If they had the same roster but just playing this year? I think they probably would have gotten to the same spot. I think they would have gotten to the Eastern Conference Final. And I think it would have been a much closer series, personally. If you had the 2024 playoff roster going into 2025, now again, all things being healthy, that's a major question as well. You'd probably be looking at a 6-7 game series with the Florida Panthers. But again, there's still questions down the middle of the ice, even on last year's team as well. So that has not changed. Seattle Gold Show coming up. Speaking of the middle of the ice, where can the Hurricanes get better? Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And here we go. We've got the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, two of the smallest markets in the NBA. And who cares? Because there's fun players, Tyrese Halliburton and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We are going to have a blast watching, and you can have a blast with FanDuel. America's #1 sports book. Great home for live betting during the playoffs as well. Plus, you get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins for new customers. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com loanpronto.com/free.
Down on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mommy, how come I can't sit in the front seat?
Because I love you and you're just not ready yet.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare hands. Triple threats of cold hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Florida played the exact same style of hockey we just played, and they won a cup with it last year, and they're in the Stanley Cup final again this year. And it's the exact same style of hockey that we play. It's as little stress on you as possible without making cutesy plays through the neutral zone, without turning the puck over, getting the puck out of your zone as quick as you can. You're not even making tape-to-tape passes. You're just getting the puck out of your zone and getting it into their zone. And then when your skill has a chance to take over, you let it take over. I mean, 3 conference finals in 7 years, I think speaks to the success that it can bring. It's just the execution when you get down to the wire, when other teams are also playing that game, it just has to be that much better.
Well said, Jacob Slavin. Well said there, Jacob Slavin, because there's been so much crap. By the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. This is the Adam Gold Show. Victoria producing, as always. There's been so much crap thrown at the Carolina Hurricanes for, their system doesn't work and all this, blah, blah, blah. Like you just mentioned, the Florida Panthers, now there's some intricacies and stuff that are slightly different, you know? Like, they don't want to get into, like, the minutia of, like, we're going to go with, like, center over or center under in these breakouts. Not going to get into the minutia of all of that. But the core principles of their system, the Florida Panthers, it's similar to what the Carolina Hurricanes do. They both run a man-on-man defensive style system. Again, there's some small details and stuff that are definitely different, but the core principles of what they do, it's the same. It is. Just watch how they played last night. And there's stretches of the game last year where Edmonton got nothing. Nothing. And it took a couple grindy type goals to get them back in it. Some pucks that just squirt through the middle of the ice on the offensive end. That's how Ekholm scored to make it 3-2. The Arvidsson goal, same type thing. Like, Arvidsson, I guess Bobrovsky, I should say, probably wants that goal back by Arvidsson. But nonetheless, and then you scored on the power play. It's just simply down to the execution. Now, it just also comes down to personnel. Do you have the players? Because if you look at Carolina Hurricanes roster, at the Florida and compare it 1-for-1 for the Florida Panthers roster, 1-for-1, the Florida Panthers roster is just better. Not saying the Canes have bad players. You don't make it to a conference final because your team stinks. But 1-for-1 comparison, it's better. And there's a player that is going to be a unrestricted free agent on July 1st, which ain't that far away. His name's Sam Bennett, who's the number 2 center for the Florida Panthers, behind Alexander Barkov. Alexander Barkov, by the way, just won another Selke Award. The Selke Award in the NHL is given to the best two-way forward in the NHL. So that means you're both great offensively, and most importantly, the best defensive forward is actually what it is. Not the best two-way forward, the best defensive forward in the NHL. And he also happens to be like a 100-point guy. So he's the best, you could say, two-way player in the NHL amongst forwards, because he's the best defensive one, and he produces offensively. Now, best overall, it's still Connor McDavid. But nonetheless, speaking of those defensive forwards, we actually saw Jordan Staal was 10th in the Selke voting this year. Seth Jarvis was 11th in Selke voting this year. Both those guys were, last year, Jordan Staal was number 2 in the Selke, and Seth Jarvis was 8th. We saw Sebastian Aho was also 20th in Selke voting this year. Seth Jarvis actually got 2 first-place votes for the Selke Award as best defensive forward in the NHL. But you need to have guys that run down the middle of the ice. When you look at the system that the Florida Panthers run, their man-on-man system in the defensive end, same thing that the Carolina Hurricanes do. The reason why the center position is so valuable is because if you lose a face-off, you have to stay with the center that you lost the face-off to. You have to stay man-for-man with that guy. Even if you're running a zone system, the center is so valuable because you're helping down low defensively with the defensemen, with the blue liners, down low in the zone. So that center has to be able to play from corner to corner if you're in a zone system. If you're in a man-to-man, if you lose that face-off, you're sticking with that guy throughout. That's why the center position is so valuable. And the Canes need help there. The Canes need help there massively. Victoria, can we pull up the clip from Eric Tulsky talking about the need for the center position? Let me know you have that available, because the reason why I bring that up is a lot of it's tied into what we just had with one-timers just a moment ago, where people were asking about, hey, would the Carolina Hurricanes consider a trade for Rossi, a center from Minnesota? What about did they go for Sam Bennett? These types of things. And I asked specifically Eric Tulsky, the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, about improving that position yesterday on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we want to get better across the board. And center is a very important position. D is a very important position. You know, our wingers are a strength for our team. I think anywhere where we find opportunity to improve, we're going to take it. Center is obviously a focus around the league right now, and something that if we see opportunities there, we will definitely jump on them. But, you know, we do not want to pigeonhole ourselves as being narrowly focused on one thing and missing other opportunities. We want to take every opportunity we can.
So Florida, again, that's your standard, has Alexander Barkov, who is better than a point-per-game player. That's a center. You have Anton Lundell, who put up 45 points as their quote-unquote third center this year. And he's just 23 years old. He's young. Anticipate only getting better. And then you have Sam Bennett as their number 2. We saw Sam Bennett score twice yesterday in Game 1 for the Florida Panthers. Twice. The reason why Sam Bennett, if you look at his regular season stats, you'd be like, okay, he had 25 goals, 26 assists, 51 points. Well, look at his career. Well, he's only been, over. That's actually the first time he's ever been over 50 points in his career. What's the big deal about the guy? What's so special about him? Well, you know what's such a big deal about him is because what he does in the playoffs. And that's where the Carolina Hurricanes need to find a guy. Maybe it is Sam Bennett, but with every single goal that he continues to score in the postseason, Victoria, ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. More money there in the pocket.
Every time.
Every single time. He scored twice again yesterday. And it's the mentality that he has that wins in April, May, and June. Now, I know you sit there and say, well, Dennis, they lost Game 1 yesterday. How can you say it's winning? His name's written on the cup. You see what he did last year? You see what he's done this whole postseason? Do you see what he did yesterday? The first goal that was scored by Florida yesterday, in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a 4-3 overtime win by Edmonton, but the first goal that was scored by the Florida Panthers in the first period was Sam Bennett going to the front of the net, drawing the attention of two guys, gets his skate kind of sort of kicked out from behind him a little bit, unintentionally, but he knew exactly where he was, falls down into the net, or falls down into Stuart Skinner, the goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers.
By, quote, accident.
I can't control where I fall.
No, he knew where gravity was taking him.
Hey, it just happened to pull me in that direction. So that's something that it happened. Guess what? He falls into Skinner. Skinner's knocked down. Shot comes. It hits off of Bennett's leg and goes in the net. And Skinner can't do anything about it because he's got a guy laying on top of him, basically. And so, well, wait, let's go to goalie interference. So, well, no, actually, the defenseman bumped me down. He knocked me down into the goalie. Not my fault. You cry about it. Goal stands. Sure enough, Florida scores another quick one right after that. Before you know, it's 2-1 Florida. Then we actually saw the skill off of a rush where Sam Bennett was able to actually get the puck on a little quick 2-on-1, goes forehand, scores, or backhand forehand scores. This postseason, we have seen Sam Bennett already in 18 games have 12 goals and 8 assists this postseason alone. They've played 18 games. He's a point per game this postseason. If you just simply go back just these last 3 years, 3 runs to the Stanley Cup final, 3 runs, including already a hoisting of the cup as well. In 57 games, this is 2023, 2024, and this year in 2025, including last night, 57 games, 24 goals, 23 assists. To give you a context over an 82-game season, that's 35 goals, 33 assists. That's a 68-point regular season pace. That's far better than the 51 points he had this year. Far better. He produces in the postseason. To give you comparison, who is the quote-unquote number 2 center for the Carolina Hurricanes this year? Or for most of it, tried to be, was Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, in about 54 playoff games for the Carolina Hurricanes. In 4 seasons with the Canes, 54 postseason games for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You know how many goals he has, Victoria? 3.
Yep.
3 in 4 seasons. That's supposed to be your number 2 center.
That's not good.
So you look at what Florida has produced in the production they have from their number 2 center in the postseason in Sam Bennett, and you look at the Carolina Hurricanes and the production that they get from their number 2 center, who is a healthy scratch in a game this postseason. You look at the production, it ain't even close. It's not even close.
And Kotkaniemi's had so much time, too, to get things going, straighten things out, get comfortable, fill in the blank. Rod's been supporting him the whole time. It's just frustrating. Nothing's working.
It hasn't been working. So, again, I'll go back here for his time with Carolina. I know he started his career with Montreal. But if you look at his time in Carolina, again, postseason, 54 games, 3 goals, 11 assists, 14 points. Sam Bennett this postseason alone has 12 goals and 6 assists for 18 points in 18 games. And Kotkaniemi was signed to be your number 2 guy. Kotkaniemi is making $4.82 million this year. You know how much Sam Bennett is making for the Florida Panthers? You know what his cap hit was this year, Victoria? 4.42. So this guy was actually making slightly less, about $400,000 less than Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Yikes.
So when you pay Kotkaniemi that contract, this is the type of production you were expecting was what you're getting from Sam Bennett. These guys are playing number 2 center. Paid roughly the same, Kotkaniemi slightly more. And Kotkaniemi, I understand, is a little bit of a younger player, but not that much younger.
No.
And he's had plenty of postseason play, plenty of opportunity. This is not a Jesperi Kotkaniemi bashing, more or less a pointing out what the Canes need to get. Now, I don't know if the Florida Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup this postseason. I don't know. Obviously, no one does. I predicted that the Edmonton Oilers are going to win this one in 6. But Sam Bennett's the kind of player that you got to have on your team. Again, he's not going to put up sexy regular season numbers, but the money that you pay him, if you can sign him and bring him back, it's about April, May, and June. That's where you make your money with this guy. Because if he can put his name on the cup underneath Carolina Hurricanes, then every dollar's worth it. If he even hits free agency. Because Florida, believe it or not, Victoria, Florida has the cap space to possibly bring him back.
Yeah.
They really do.
And that, sure they're hoping for that.
I know, right?
Of course.
If you're them, of course. You're going to do everything you can to try and keep him because you can give him 8 years. If he goes free agency, he can only get 7. Hey, we're going to give you that 8th year. Hey, we'll throw in like a no-move clause for the first 5 years, whatever it is that you want to do.
Get a parking space.
Exactly. They want to keep that window as open as long as possible with the core that they have right now. They're built to win right now and over the next few years. Because Lundell is signed through 2029. Barkov's under contract through 2030. Tkachuk is under contract through 2030. Sam Reinhart is under contract through 2032. Carter Verhaeghe under contract till 2023. And then even other guys like Eetu Luostarinen, Evan Rodriguez, Jesper Boquist, these guys are under contract for another couple of years, but their core guys up front are under contract through at least 2029, 2030. And these guys are 27, 28, 29 years old. These are their prime years. That's your competition in the Eastern Conference. That's what Carolina has to look to. And like, that's the team you have to beat. That's the team that you have to beat. And even on the back end, Seth Jones, Gustav Forsling, these guys are under contract for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And they can even possibly re-sign Aaron Ekblad. Now, there's also a couple guys that might be due a contract extension and stuff here or there coming up in the future, but nonetheless, they can keep that core group of guys together, and Sam Bennett is a big part of that. Now, if he becomes available, if I'm Carolina, I'm going after that guy. If he becomes available, I'm going after that guy. But guess what? So is every other team in the league. You better be ready to pay that price to get that guy, because he pays the price in the postseason to win. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. The Carolina Panthers. I almost said Florida Panthers, Victoria.
I know.
The Carolina Panthers, we are shifting things over to football here.
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers have had OTAs going underway. We also have mandatory minicamp coming up next week. We have a blind ranking, the top defensive players going into this year for the Carolina Panthers coming up.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
The Indiana Pacers will head to the NBA Finals.
The Stanley Cup Finals and the College World Series.
And you can send it to the Supers. Carolina advances out of the Chapel Hill Regional.
The U.S. Open.
And strokes the putt up the hill into the middle. 2 times a U.S. Open champion, Bryce DeChambeau.
Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Riding a motorcycle is an experience like no other, but there's definitely important things to remember. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and one of my best friends is becoming a new rider this season. She cannot wait to take the bike out and go on all kinds of adventures, which I'm excited for her too, but I did warn her that now she's got to be aware of not only herself, but distracted drivers around her. Now, whether you're a new rider or a seasoned vet, it's so important to remember that if you're ever in an accident on your motorcycle that wasn't your fault, make sure to call my friends at Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders too, so they understand, they get it, they know the value of your bike and your gear. Case evaluations are always going to be free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Westwood One Sports presents a special tennis update sponsored by Kohl's. Make the most of summer with stylish looks from Kohl's and Kohl's.com, where families come first. Looks like the Cinderella run of Loïs Boisson in her native France is going to come to an end. She had never played a Grand Slam match. She had never faced an opponent in the top 50 in any tournament. She got a wild card entry and knocked off 3 from the top 25, 2 in the top 10, Jessica Pegula and Mira Andreeva. But against Coco Gauff, Gauff leads 6-1, 5-2, and assuming she holds on, Saturday's final will be Gauff and Arina Sabalenka, so the top 2 seeds in the final. That hasn't happened since 2013. Sabalenka took out the 4-time French champion, Iga Swiatek, 7-6, 3-6, 6-love, and she's now made it to the finals in 5 of her last 6 slams. 2 wins, 2 losses, including a loss to Gauff at the 2023 U.S. Open. With this tennis update, John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
If there's one thing we know about dads, it's that they're not easy to shop for. Enter Kohl's. They've got everything from Nike golf gear to his favorite Levi's jeans. And you can save 20% on other finds like Flex Athleisure and Izod workwear. So if you're not sure what to get Dad for Father's Day, you know where to go. Shop Kohl's now. Select styles. Offer ends June 15th. Some exclusions apply. Coupons do not apply to Nike and Levi's. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Adam Gold.
I have so many questions, too. Like, is the mom going to be in the business, too? Are we going to have, like, themed UNC products? She's in it, so.
Interesting ram horn you've got there.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
Victoria, do you play video games?
I mean, I used to.
Yeah.
Summer was consumed by Super Mario Brothers,
Oh, there you
Sega,
go. Classic.
like Sonic.
Oh, I had Sonic. I had the original Sega.
Uh-huh.
It actually came with Sonic the Hedgehog, the original.
Yes.
Loved that game so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Getting all those rings. It was a good time.
Tetris, all of it.
There was the trailer for Madden 26. Because every year, of course, there's a new Madden NFL game that comes out because, why not?
Right.
It just prints money at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some different game modes and stuff that they try and introduce or change up and things along those lines. And remember, actually, a couple years ago for Madden, they did like a story mode where you're like a high school player that was like a big time recruit and all that stuff, and then you kind of like fell out of touch with your school, so you actually went to like a regional NFL combine, like a regional combine, not the big one, because you're trying to resurrect your career and see if you can get drafted or an undrafted free agent, possibly signing, whatever it might be. So depending on how you performed in drills and some game situations, things like that, you got drafted. And like you're building your own career that way.
Right.
So there's a storyline mode that led into you actually getting drafted and playing in the game, which I thought was actually all right. It's different. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was actually kind of cool. But did you know on the trailer that just the teaser trailer from Madden 26 that just dropped?
Mm-hmm.
Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
You'll see them on the trailer. It was Pat Jones, the free agent edge rusher they just signed from the Minnesota Vikings, coming off the edge, looking like he's going for a sack. And you saw Derek Brown about to make a tackle as a quarterback's releasing the ball. 2 defensive players.
Look at that.
From the worst defense in the league last year.
I know.
Now, granted, Derek Brown played in only one game last year, and Pat Jones was on a different team. So at least like, hey, you guys weren't the problem last year.
Yeah.
But it made me think. Yesterday we did a blind ranking of Carolina Panthers offensive players. Now, what is a blind ranking? So as opposed to just me coming up here and saying, yeah, I'm going to give you my top 5 Panthers defensive players. Number 5, this person, blah, 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 blah. Victoria is actually just going to give me a name.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to slot that person somewhere between 1 through 5. I don't know what name is coming up next.
Yep.
Now, here's a caveat. No rookies.
Right.
Because, again, it's rookies.
Mm-hmm. We have no idea.
We just don't know. But, again, I don't know what name Victoria is going to come with next. So I kind of have to anticipate and think in advance and be like, all right, well, she gave me this name. If I go 4, that might be too low. But you never. So, anyway, that's why they call it a blind ranking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Victoria, take it away. Blind ranking, 5 defensive players currently on the Panthers roster, non-rookies. Let's go.
Got it. Now, a lot of these are going to be newer guys, maybe, potentially.
Okay, well, there's a lot of turnover.
Yes. So, let's start with A'Shawn Robinson.
A'Shawn Robinson last season tied for the team lead in sacks with 5.5, and was actually had a really, really productive year last year in terms of, like, the counting stats. Unfortunately, there just wasn't a whole lot around him. He played a lot more snaps last year than I think the team wanted. Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, who we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, likes to rotate in his defensive linemen. And I think the additions of Bobby Brown, Treshawn Wharton, who they brought in, Derek Brown coming back. They also have, Shai Tuttle was asked to play starting nose tackle last year. He's not built to play nose tackle. He's built to be a rotational defensive lineman. So you add those couple free agents that they signed on top of drafting Cam Jackson as well, Derek Brown coming back. Now you actually have depth. I think he's going to play less snaps this season, but I think it's going to allow him to be more effective in each of those snaps. But on a blind ranking, first one that you give me, I'm going to put him at 4.
Okay.
I'm going to go 4 with A'Shawn Robinson. I like him in rotation with some of the other guys that they brought in. I like A'Shawn a lot, which, by the way, real quick, myself and Chris Lee from WREL in Raleigh, he and I do a podcast called Panthers Playbook, and we go to Panthers games. We'll go and interview players in the locker room. We'll use that post-game for home games on our show. I stood next to A'Shawn Robinson. If there's a fight I'm on his side. I just want to let you know that. I don't care. I'm on his side.
Yeah.
It's a scary dude. I mean that like in a good way.
Right, yeah.
I've talked to him in the locker room, like good guy.
Yeah.
Like really good person.
You just don't want to be on the wrong side.
But I'm not going to mess around with that guy and find out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. These guys, it's funny because everyone's taller than me, but yeah, I'm sure seeing them in person, I'd be like,
oh, yeah, he's a massive
okay.
individual.
Hi. Okay, next up.
So A'Shawn Robinson 4.
Number
next
4.
one up.
Yes. DJ Wano.
Ooh. This is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Wanham last season missed the first 9 games, not only recovering from a quad injury, but then was actually dealing with a blood clot issue.
Which is not fun.
I can only imagine. So recovering from a blood clot, it's not like, again, you can just, all right, let me do my rehab and build up my strength and endurance, and hey, we're all good to go, right? A blood clot's, it's a different medical condition. You can't anticipate, can't just sit here like rehab for like you do an ankle. So he played the last half of the season last year, last 8 games, had 4 sacks. And I will say there's a noticeable difference when he was on the field last year, especially in pass rush situations. There's a noticeable difference in a good way. And he was one of their big free agent signings from a year ago. I expect him, if he's healthy this season. Now, hasn't participated in some of the OTA stuff because of a back issue that kind of, quote unquote, flared up. As someone who's dealing with a back issue myself that's flared up recently, not a great thing.
Not fun.
So I'm hoping he's healthy going into this season. I'll put him at, this is tough. I'll put him at 3.
Okay.
I'll put him at 3.
We'll put 3 here. I got to keep track of everything.
Okay, so we have A'Shawn Robinson 4.
Mm-hmm. And DJ
Wonnum at 3. Again, this is a blind ranking Carolina Panthers defensive players.
Okay. Next up.
Okay.
Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt's an offensive lineman.
Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, I was
About to
looking
say,
at my
like, Robert
offensive
Hunt
line.
would be
I still have my list from yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Sorry.
I was like, what? I'm like, I might put him at 2 on defense,
I know.
just to let you know. But
And
okay,
maybe
go
he'll
on.
be good. Shy Tuttle.
5.
Yeah.
5.
Just straight 5. Like
5.
Yeah, just barf. Yeah.
5.
See.
5. And honestly, depending on like Jaden Crumedy, who was a 6th-round pick last year, is still on the roster. Again, the fact that they added Derek Brown coming back, Tershawn Wharton signed, A'Shawn Robinson coming back, a Bobby Brown side. They drafted Cam Jackson. There's Jaden Crumedy that they drafted in the 6th round last year. Shy Tuttle might not even make the team. Possibly.
Not great.
Possibly. But yes, so 5 for Jaden Crumedy.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have A'Shawn Robinson 4, DJ Wanham 3, Shy Tuttle 5.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm keeping track of all of these. All right.
Next one.
We've talked about him before. Derek Brown.
Derek Brown 1. 1. Simple as that. 1.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeeze.
I really hope to see, obviously, Derek Brown to not only regain what he was in 2023. Again, you don't get 100-plus tackles by accident. Where I want to see him contribute more and impact and grow as a player. Again, you sign a big contract. Being healthy and playing is a big part of that. Which, outside of the knee injury last year, has been healthy in his career. Like, let's be honest. Hopefully the meniscus surgery and everything in the recovery goes well. Not only do you hope and anticipate that he's going to get back to his 2023 form eventually, especially as the season goes along, but where can he impact the game from the passing standpoint? How can he impact things as a pass rusher, not just a great run stopper? Because he's, you could say, the best run-stopping defensive lineman interior in the entire league. Again, you don't get 100 tackles as an interior defensive lineman by accident. Can he put more pressure on the quarterback? That's the next step in his evolution to go from really great player and into the elite level.
Yeah.
Like Dexter Lawrence with the New York Giants and so on. Like, that's the type of level that he should be able to get into, hopefully. All right, so Derek Brown 1. We have DJ Wanham 3, A'Shawn Robinson 4, Shy Total 5. Last one here in the blind ranking, Carolina Panthers Defensive Players non-rookie edition. We have...
That is going to be the number 2, J.C. Horn.
I
have to put J.C. Horn in here.
Yes. You know what? Like, this is a perfect list.
Yeah.
I just want to say I nailed this. I'm
J.C.
giving myself
Horn.
claps and pats on the back right now for nailing this list. If you gave me, Victoria, these 5 guys right from the get-go, you said, hey, rank A'Shawn Robinson, DJ Wanham, Shy Tuttle, Derek Brown, and J.C. Horn, I probably would have sat there and gone to you. Derek Brown 1, J.C. Horn 2, Wanham 3, Robinson 4, Shy Tuttle 5.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
That's the list.
I'm giving myself pats on the back. You pick
And
that
for
up.
anyone
Pick
who-
that up on the microphone. Pick that up on the microphone.
Anyone
Give myself pats on the
who
back on
missed
this
the
one.
offensive one, because I still have it from yesterday.
Yeah.
It ended up being where you had Tommy Tremble, number 5.
Yeah.
Xavier Leggett, number 4.
Mhm.
Jalen Coker, number 3.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, number 2.
Threw that one as the very last one. Threw a curveball at me.
And then Chuba Hubbard, number 1. So that was yesterday's list for anyone who
Threw
missed
a
it.
massive curveball at me. The very last one. Andy
I
Dalton.
know,
I was
Andy
like, come
Dalton.
on.
Oh, no.
Come on. If you would have thrown Bryce, it would have been like perfect list.
Right.
Just about. But all right, well, speaking of the defense, so Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, obviously are the cornerstones of this defense, and hopefully some of the other guys that you drafted, Nick Scorton, Princely Umamielen, Trevin Wallace, who was a 3rd-round pick last year for the team. You want to, and Trayvon Merrick, who they signed as one of their big free agent signings this past season from the Vegas Raiders. You hope that these guys are the cornerstones of this defense moving forward. We all know the identity of this Panthers franchise and what it's been in the past, and the general manager of this team is a big part of that. Defense and running the football. I mean, go back to the days of Stephen Davis and Deshaun Foster, which eventually led into Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Like that running attack. And then we have Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, Cam Newton not only could do throwing the ball, but he could do with his legs as well. Like running the ball has been a staple for this franchise. It just has been. but also tough as hell defense to play against. Even if your offense wasn't going, either on a particular day or a particular season, you knew the defense was going to keep you in it. And unfortunately, that's been lost. A couple years ago, 2023, even some of the advanced numbers weren't that great, but the defense never really got a lot of help from their offense because, well, the offense was just let's just say the words I can't say on air. That's how the offense was in 2023. So their defense got zero help from their offense. Defense is constantly taking over like, oh, it's the 45-yard line. Got to go out here in the field and see if we can get a stop. While the offense goes 3 and out once again. So they didn't get a whole lot of help. But this last season, the depth really wasn't there at the beginning of the season. Sure, you had J.C. Horn. You still had Derek Brown at the start of the year. You signed A'Shawn Robinson. You brought in DJ Wanham, and Jadeveon Clowney. You brought in Josie Jewell and some other guys that were fits with Evero's system and have played with him in the past. Jordan Fuller as a safety. Again, Jewell as a linebacker. Robinson played with him with LA as well. So you thought, okay, you bring in Clowney, you bring in Wanham, guys that you feel fit the defense to kind of patch hole and get through the season. The depth wasn't there to begin with. And then DJ Wanham wasn't healthy to start the year. Derek Brown goes down week 1. J.C. Horn actually was healthy for pretty much the entire season last year. But now that you've retooled this defense, where you have Jewell coming back, you have Trevin Wallace going into year 2 in place of Shaq Thompson, who's missed the last 2 seasons really because of injury. You got new safeties with Trayvon Berry coming in. You have Latham that you drafted in the 4th round from Ohio State. You had Damani Richardson, who was an undrafted rookie last year, also in the mix. You brought back Nick Scott, which Nick Scott to me is a special teams player, which is fine. You need those guys. But you added Bobby Brown, who actually came from L.A., has a little familiarity with Evero's system. You drafted Cam Jackson, Trashard Wharton, that defensive lineman that you brought in from the Kansas City Chiefs. You drafted 2 edge rushers in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. You signed Pat Jones. This defense this year, Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator, it's on you now. It's on you now to make this work. Because you can't have a repeat of last year. One of the biggest frustrations I had with last year with the defense was, again, I understand all the defensive injuries that they had last year. It sucked to be them. Like, you were down to like 6th, 7th, 8th on the depth chart, guys that were practice squads on other teams that you were bringing over and all. I totally understand that. But the biggest thing that frustrated me was the scheme never actually changed, or you adapted some things to actually fit the personnel and all the injuries that you had. That was my biggest frustration. You never actually saw anything change to compensate for all the guys that weren't there. It's like, hey, you know what? I still got J.C. Horn over here in my secondary. I still got Mike Jackson over here in my secondary, who were your starters pretty much all year. You know what? We're down low. We're light on numbers, or we're down low on our depth chart of guys. Let's just blitz the heck out of these guys. I'm going to trust you guys. Lock down some of these receivers one-on-one, and we're just going to fire some blitzes from all different places just to see if we can get some pressure in some way, shape, or form. The Carolina Panthers last season were 28th in the NFL in sack percentage. The year before that, in 2023, when you actually have Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Frankie Louvu, and Shaq Thompson, people are like, well, Shaq Thompson was hurt. Well, Shaq Thompson actually played more games in 2024 than he did in 2023. But in 2023, when you had a healthy Derek Brown, a healthy Brian Burns, and a healthy Frankie Louvu, you were 31st in the NFL in sack percentage. Now you have all these new guys in. Find ways to get these guys to the quarterback. I understand that sometimes a guy just has to win his one-on-one matchup, but it's on you to make sure that they can get into a position where they can best succeed. And that's on you as a coach. So it's on Evero, in my eyes, to get this defense that last year, again, gave up the most points in a single season in NFL history. Which, by the way, if you go on a per-game basis, is still like one of the 5th or 6th worst in the NFL ever. a team that also gave up over 3,000 yards rushing last season. I understand all the injuries. I understand. Can you get to 20th in sack percentage? Can you get to 20th in rush defense in terms of yards per game, yards per carry? Can you get to 20th? Can you force some more turnovers? Can your defense now do that? Can you put guys in position where they can do that? I saw some times last season, again, this was defensive scheme. They were sitting there watching the Dallas Cowboys game and seeing CeeDee Lamb line up in the slot. And guess what? Getting lined up in the slot based off of the defensive scheme, I see Jordan Fuller trying to cover CeeDee Lamb, the safety. I was like, why isn't J.C. Horn on this guy? Again, question, scheme. I also look and see, oftentimes, we saw Mike Evans line up in the slot, get a mismatch, as opposed to, hey, JC, stay with this guy. I understand that you have your core principles of your scheme, but if you don't have the guys to do it, then you need to adapt and adjust your scheme to fit the players that you have. Now, I understand that you brought in these guys that fit your scheme. Okay, now it's on you to make it happen. So, yeah, Evero, this season, big one for you. You have to turn this defense around. Dan Morgan openly acknowledged after last season, our defensive personnel has to be better. Not wrong, but by all accounts, with all the free agent signings that you have, and you spent a second, a third, and a fourth round pick on guys on your team for this year defensively, and you have a third round pick last year from Trevin Wallace. You signed big money to J.C. Horn. You signed big money to Derek Brown. Make it happen. Make it happen. Because guess what? We saw the last part of the season last year, Victoria. The Carolina, I just did it right there. The Carolina Panthers offense, over the last 5 games or 6 games, was averaging about 27 points per game. That's good. I'll take that. The Panthers last season gave up over 31 points per game, nearly 32. Can you take a touchdown off the board? If you take a touchdown off the board, you're looking at still 24, 25 points given up per game, which isn't great. But it's a heck of a lot better than it was yesterday or last year. That's on you, Evero, to make these guys work, to make this stuff work, to give this team a chance to win games. With an historically bad defense, you still won 5. With an historically bad defense, and that's also at the beginning of the year when your offense stunk, where your offense was bad. There's no excuse this season now. So, yeah, Ejiro Evero, no excuse for you this season. This defense simply has to be better if this team wants to compete and win. We know the NFC South isn't good. We know that. Atlanta was a 500 team last year. They're 8-9.
Yeah.
They're a 500 team last year. Now I know they went out and drafted 2 guys in the first round to help their defense. We still don't know what their offense is going to look like with Michael Penix Jr. You just don't know. You started, 2-3 games last year? Mm-hmm. 3? You don't know. But that's still a 500 team.
Yep.
Tampa, good. I still have questions about their defense, but they drafted another wide receiver. They have a ton of wideouts.
Add that.
They have their own McMillan, who was a rookie last year. Chris Godwin, coming off an ACL injury, but still back. Mike Evans, and they drafted Emeka Egbuka. That's 4 pretty good receivers.
Yes.
Along with Bucky Irving. So, yeah, you have to contend with Tampa Bay, but you got to overtime last year with Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get a damn defensive stop.
Right.
Get stops on defense this year. Hey, you get to 8-9?
I mean, you're in the hunt.
You are.
New
Orleans is going to stink this year.
Right.
I have no doubt New Orleans is going to stink this year. But yeah, 8-9 puts you in contention.
You never know.
The NFC South, that's all you need. And then once you get in the playoffs,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But the defense has got to give this team a chance. Defense has been a backbone of this organization from day one. Defense and running the ball been a backbone of the organization since day one. Got to get back to it. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria, yesterday you and I would have made some money if we actually put some real bets in. We would have made some real money. We're actually going to place some bets today. And also we need to stretch that time of day. Next.
From the heels,
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are finally here. The NBA Finals. It's Magic versus Larry. Wait, no, okay, it's not Magic versus Larry. Doesn't matter. It's the finals, and you can find everything you need for the finals, including live betting, right there on the FanDuel app. It's the best app in the business. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late. And new customers, $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So pick something easy, win it, and cash in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy. You're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
You know, if you're sitting down most of the day with your job, with your work, it's always important to get up, to move around, to stretch a little bit. And here on the Adam Gold Show, by the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. This is where we turn things over to the producer of this show, Victoria Vodenecker, so we have our own 7th inning stretch. Take it away, V.
All right. Well, so there are some important things to remember this summer, which I was not aware of some of these myths. Now, some people might be going to the pool, and, you know, I lifeguarded for like, I don't know, it was like a decade. And I saw this happen all the time, and then people try to use these myths to help said phone that they might potentially drop in the pool. But it
Safety first.
Always work. So a website made, they're trying to debunk some of these myths. If you do happen to drop your phone in a pool, in the ocean, just in a bucket of water, any of that
toilet,
stuff,
you know,
all of that stuff, there's 4 myths that they want you to be aware of that don't actually work said way that you might think it might. So this website called, quote, The Conversation, addressed the first myth by turning your phone back on to see if it's fine. Obviously, that looks like a good sign if it's working, but that doesn't always mean that you're in the clear because moisture on the inside of your phone can cause corrosion, and so it may take some time, but may not be very helpful. So that was myth number 2, that if your phone turns on, that it's fine. It's just for a second, like a 5-second rule.
The moment, but long term,
Long term, not so great. Also, myth number 2, but your phone is waterproof. Now, apparently there's no such thing as waterproof phones, so they can be water resistant to very different things.
Okay.
Similar avenue, but how resistant also depends on the model. So the term waterproof isn't used much, but phones generally are not.
Yeah, they're generally not. There's different, holes and avenues for moisture to get inside, like the jack in which you charge the phone and those kinds of things. Yeah, that all makes perfect sense.
Yep. The third one, that your warranty will cover it. This is where they'll get you.
That's exactly how they get you.
This is where they get you. You're already paying for that overpriced insurance, but nope, there's more because most out-of-the-box warranties don't cover water damage. Did not realize that, but you have to buy an additional warranty because there's limitations. Shocker, there's fine print. And then fourth, last but not least, I know a ton of people have used this for numerous things that have gone in the water. The rice hack, about putting your phone into a bag of rice and letting it soak up the moisture. Yeah, that doesn't work as well, even though it may have worked for some in the past. Not saying that it can't, but it does say that particles of the rice could also get into your phone and cause more problems.
Of course.
Because, of course, the place that you charge your, phone is just small enough, big enough, who knows, for rice. So, yeah, it's, it's one of those things. So be careful when you do that. So during the concert that we went to in Florida, I actually took Ziploc bags just in case a monsoon decided to, hit. And I don't know. Luckily, I didn't need to use it because it was a heat wave time in Florida. So I know what an Instant Pot feels like on the inside. But that's always a good idea to keep a little Ziploc baggie if you're in that situation.
I actually have one of those plastic bags, I guess you could say, but the little plastic compartments where you can actually, they're waterproof, where you actually can drop your phone into that and it seals and doesn't allow any water in, and they actually float in case you do drop it in water. So I have one of those in case I ever go camping and things along those lines, and they work wonders.
You use it all the time. So they do say at the end of this article that you're better off powering down your phone, removing the battery if you can, if you can get to it now, and letting it dry overnight and praying. So I threw that part.
Prayer goes a long way.
I'm just threw that part in. So there you go. If you're going on vacation, be careful around the water. Also, I thought this was funny because Mr. Beast,
From Greenville.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's from this area, sort of. I mean, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, he's
area.
from Greenville, yeah.
Exactly. So we all know that he's got a ton of money, and he's that person that likes to help out the community and, do different things, give to charities, whatnot. He's 27 years old. He's worth $1 billion with a B. But he recently asked his mom for money for his wedding.
What?
And so he said, quote, I personally have very little money because I reinvest everything. So ironically, he had to ask his mom to help pay for his upcoming wedding.
Believe it or not, so he makes a ton of money on YouTube.
Yeah.
He does a lot of videos and stuff like that. And the money that he generates off YouTube, he puts back into making more of the stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
So he has like a staff of people that he pays.
Yeah.
All the different stuff that he invested the money into. So the money is going into different places. It's not like he's just buying a bunch of just random stuff for himself to enjoy.
Right.
He's actually using this money in different places, but he himself doesn't really pocket a whole lot.
Right.
Himself. Maybe he should a little bit more, but that's just what he does. And that's okay. I mean, it's his money to use.
Yeah. It just makes him real relatable now that he had to ask his mom for a loan.
I'm sure he could pay it back.
Yeah, I think he's good for it.
Maybe he can pay for his wedding by placing some bets.
Maybe.
Place your
You
bets.
can do that
Place
here in the
your
state of North
bets.
Carolina.
I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
So, Victoria, we could have made a lot of money yesterday. You had Leon Draisaitl, anytime goal scorer, which he scored a minute 6 into the game. I had Connor McDavid, 2+ assists yesterday at plus 200, which he definitely had. But, it's all about actually putting your real money on it. Victoria, what do you have today?
I know. Well, so today I'm jumping ahead to the next game because Friday, as long as there's a UFC card, I've got bets.
That's fair.
That's all going to be tomorrow, so I'm jumping ahead to game 2. I'm going to stick with the hot hand right now. Leon Draisaitl is still plus money to be an anytime goal scorer. He's plus 115, so the pot isn't as sweet, but still plus money. So 115, Leon Draisaitl.
Hey, I won't disagree with that one at all. Give me Tyrese Halliburton tonight. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Tyrese Halliburton double-double at plus 120.
Oh, there you go. I also think that game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, is going to be a high-scoring game, potentially, or at least it's going to start off hot. So, will there be a goal in the first 5 minutes? Yes, plus 160.
Okay, you know what? I'm expecting a big day from both Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Pascal Siakam. I know they're on different teams, but I expect a big day from both those guys. 56+ combined points between those two guys, plus 120.
Well, last but not least, if I'm picking a winner, it was a close game, but give me the Panthers to win game 2, plus 105. To come back.
Give me my last pick here. Give me the Indiana Pacers. I'm sorry, I take that back. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder on the money line. I'm sorry, with the spread, minus 10. Give 10 points. Lay 10 points at minus 105. Wall of Sound coming up next on the Adam Gold Show. Stick around.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Victoria with 99.9 The Fan. It's Men's Health Month, and WakeMed Heart and Vascular would like to remind you that stress and anger can have negative effect on your body, and if continued over time, can cause major problems like headache, upset stomach, insomnia, high blood pressure, and maybe even a heart attack or stroke. So take a time out, relax, take a deep breath, and walk it off. Manage your stress, and your heart will thank you. Learn more about caring for your heart at wakemed.org.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare heads. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Down on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
You think rush hour karting is just about racing? Think again. At our Morrisville and Garner locations, you're stepping into a world of high-speed go-karts, axe throwing, golf and racing simulators, arcade challenges, and a full-service kitchen serving of serious flavor. It's where corporate events turn into bonding moments and friend nights turn legendary. This isn't just entertainment, it's serious adult fun. Visit rhkfun.com to plan your experience today.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Pivotal Ventures.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Was okay. I mean, I think we were playing good enough to win a few games here and there. We didn't. I don't think we were as consistent as we'd like, and there's a few hiccups with just really having a lot of new guys and trying to figure out who we were again. It's every year you have to kind of bring out your identity and figure it out, and it took us a little while. I thought we had a couple streaks that kind of saved us and got us where we wanted to be, which was in playoffs. And like I said, once you're in playoffs, every team believes they can win it, and we were no different.
The words of Jordan Stahl, captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, who had a one-on-one with Adam Gold last week. Gosh, it's crazy to think that the season ended a week ago, Victoria.
I know.
A week ago.
It's weird. I mean, I think it's just because it was so much hockey, and then it's like stopped. It's gone.
It's just constantly
like, now
what? Like every other day. Okay, a little break every other day. Then, of course, in the regular season, it's like, all right, it's Thursday, it's Saturday, it's Sunday, it's Tuesday, then it's Friday, then it's Saturday, then it's Tuesday, then it's Thursday, then it's Saturday. It's just constantly go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden, all right, see ya.
Never mind. Okay.
Oh, okay. No wind down, no cool off period.
Nope,
just done.
Yep. Bye.
Just done.
See ya.
Just ends just like that. But we did see some hockey last night, which unfortunately the maximum amount of games that we have somewhere between 3 and 6 games left, Victoria, of the NHL season.
That's it.
somewhere between 3 and 6. That's it.
I'm hoping for the higher one. Hoping for 6.
Yeah, I'm hoping for 6 more, especially with what we had last night.
Yeah.
Because last night was a lot of fun. If you're a hockey fan, obviously it's difficult if you're a fan of a team and you're like, no, it should have been me. You're full
Right.
Dolph Ziggler. For those who know, you know, it should have been me.
Why are we there? Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah.
But there are other championships taking place, Victoria, including tonight we have Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and that actually brings us to the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
By the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold once again. By the way, if you missed any of the Adam Gold Show, go check it out on the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. It's wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, you name it, it's there. But also if you want to interact and be part of the show and participate in the show, which we encourage everyone to do, 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh is the flagship station for the Adam Gold Show. If you go on YouTube, just search 999 The Fan. 99.9 The Fan. Subscribe to it right there. You'll see the logo. Subscribe to it. You can actually watch the show live. We stream all 3 hours of the show live on YouTube. So you can watch there. There's a comment section that you can leave thoughts and interact and be like, Dennis, you're an idiot, or whatever it might be. Throw that in there. I mean, don't call me an idiot. You can. Actually, you know what? Get in the comment section and call me an idiot right now. Well, I'm encouraging everyone to do that. But the point is being this. There are also video clips from the show that are posted as well. If you have thoughts, you have opinions, be part of the conversation. We enjoy that from each and every one of you. And there's obviously a lot of conversation about the NBA Finals going in. The Indiana Pacers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, a lot of these guys participating in this series, this championship, it's a first-time experience for a lot of them. It really is. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Tyrese Halliburton, a lot of first-time participants in the NBA Finals. But it's not the first time for Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers. Pascal Siakam won a title with the Toronto Raptors just a matter of a few seasons ago. He talked about how much he has talked with his teammates about the experience and what it takes to win in the finals.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it's also an advantage that our coach has been through it, so I think he can give that message also, like from the coaching kind of point of view. And I think for me, just as a player, just understanding, like we had this conversation about, again, a day like today, you know, like if you don't know, you don't know about this day. It's like, okay, it's going to be like that for almost every practice. Probably not to this scale like today, but a lot of media and it's a lot of exposure and people everywhere. And but I think the message has just been, let's be us. Like, I mean, we've been us throughout this point, and we're not going to change now. So I think just understanding everything that's happening, embracing it, it's a blessing. Everyone is watching us. It's a huge moment. Embracing it, but also just understanding the opportunity that we have in front of us.
That head coach he's referring to is Rick Carlisle, who won a championship with the Dallas Mavericks back in 2011. That's when Dirk Nowitzki and that crew won that series. So Rick Carlisle's been there as a head coach. Experience matters. And Rick Carlisle actually did discuss what is similar, what's alike between both the Pacers and the Thunder.
Well, there are probably more similarities than differences. You know, Oklahoma really, when you talk about their team, I mean, the first thing you got to talk about is their defense. And we're an improved defensive team. They're a historically great defensive team. And, you know, they just, you know, you win 68 games in a regular season. I think they've won 80 games to this point. You know, it's just it's a staggering accomplishment. And so I think fans will see the similarities and they'll see the differences pretty readily as they begin to watch the series.
Victoria, I openly admit I don't have the opportunity and the bandwidth to consume a ton of NBA.
Right.
At least during the regular season. I just simply don't. Like, I can follow some stuff. I used to do some side work with FanDuel Sports Network, and I actually did a lot of games doing some work covering the Memphis Grizzlies. So I actually saw a lot of Grizzlies games this year and actually saw them play against Oklahoma City Thunder a couple of times. So I got to see that a little bit and actually did a couple of Hornets games as well for FanDuel Sports Network. So I got to see a little bit more NBA early on this season, in the middle part of the season, than I normally do, just simply because of a job-related thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, to me, it's a lot harder for me to get into the intricacies of regular season basketball, because in the NBA, we see teams and ramp it up defensively, both as a team collectively with how they run things on defense, but also just the individual effort is just more intense on the defensive side of the floor in the postseason than in the regular season. So to me, it's not an easy comparison. It's not a fair comparison to look at regular season numbers or results and compare the two. It's just not, in my eyes. But postseason NBA basketball, it's damn good.
Yeah.
Like, these are the best players in the world ramping up and elevating their game, and it's exciting to see. And this series, I feel like, has a lot of really young players that we are seeing on this stage for the first time. Like the league MVP this year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. League MVP, get into his first ever conference final. Chet Holmgren was a draft pick just back in 2022. He missed that whole season because of injury, so he's still a really, really young player. Even if he didn't miss that season, he's still a really, really young player. This is overall, Tyrese Halliburton's been in the league for a few years now, but he's not an old guy. He's like, I love the term, like, young vet. He's a young vet, like young in age, but he's been around the league for a little while. And obviously he has the experience of being on the Olympic team this past season, experienced what it's like, hey, on a win or go home situation on a big time stage. He experienced that in the Olympics this past year. Now, it wasn't a major contributor to the team, but was still there for the experience. But now it's on his shoulders. Hey, guess what? The ball is going to be in your hands now. So there's a lot of emotions that come into these types of situations. I always say the biggest thing you cannot quantify in sports is the mental fortitude of players. You don't know how players are just emotionally going to react in pressure situations. You just don't know. It's the one thing you can't quantify. You can throw out all the analytics and stats and numbers you want. Points, rebounds, assists, whatever per 60 minutes, any of those kinds of things, no matter your sport. The one thing you can't account for is the human mind. You can't measure it going into a series. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was asked about the emotions of being in the NBA Finals for the first time.
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap my head around. To know that, like, we're four games away from achieving the ultimate dream as a kid. It's so crazy to, like, be so close. But also, like, winning 4 games at this stage is very hard and is a far ways away. So just to know, like, you're close but still a little bit far is, like, it's a little bit tricky. It throws you off, but it's been super fun.
I mean, he's still a relatively young guy. He's 26 years old. So, I mean, he's been around the league for a little bit. This is his first time experiencing that. Chet Holmgren, 23 years old. Jalen Williams, forward, 24 years old. There's a lot of really young guys on the team. They have 2 Jalen Williams on their team, spelled differently, but one's 24, one's 22. Overall, it's a young group of players. Now, maybe there's a guy like Alex Caruso who's been around the league for a little bit. He's 31 years old. He can provide maybe some of that experience. He played for the Lakers for a long time. He was part of the Lakers team that won in the bubble. So he's been part of it. Alex Caruso has. So that's someone that they can lean on. Oklahoma City can. But there's always the human element that you just can't factor in. Some players rise to the occasion. Some players crumble. Some players freeze. Others attack. The biggest thing I found, I used to coach college lacrosse. I did it for 9 total seasons. I was a head coach for 3 of those 9. The biggest thing I found with players, my final game as a head coach was in a conference championship game. We lost to the 14th ranked team in the country. Not afraid to admit it. Still hurts. But I've been on a conference championship teams as an assistant coach. And the biggest thing I always told my players is don't lose your identity just because the stage is bigger. I've seen so many times players all of a sudden, it's because it's a conference tournament game. They try and do stuff that it's like, who are you? What are you trying to do there? And I literally had a player tell me, Coach, it's a conference tournament. I got to raise up my game. I said, okay, you can raise up your game, but you first have to play your game. I actually had to have a sit down with a player during a game almost. It's like, look, I need you to play your game. And I said, what do you do best? And she told me X, Y, Z. Okay, go do X, Y, Z to your max. You're trying to be ABC over here. That ain't who you are. Be yourself. Elevate yourself. Play your game. Elevate your game. Don't try and be someone that you're not. That's the biggest thing. Don't try and step in there and try and be Michael Jordan. Just don't.
Yeah, you're just going to fail.
If that's not who you are. Don't set yourself up for failure. You got to this point by being yourself. Go be yourself. I have no dog in the fight when it comes to the NBA Finals. I really don't. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it a bunch. Now, there's some young stars on that team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's some young stars on the Indiana Pacers as well. Is there a young star that the Carolina Hurricanes might be going after this offseason? A lot of teams have this star going to the Carolina Hurricanes as the number one destination. I'll tell you about that star and who it is next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We have to talk to the Atlantic Coast Conference. Why in the world are State and Carolina not playing 2 college basketball games this season? For the first time in over a century, Carolina won't host State and men's basketball. What do you think your media partners want? More or less rivalries? We know the answer.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Tuesday, June 10th, the Mexican national team comes to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to face off against Euro sensation, Turkey. Feel the excitement, experience the intensity, and all the passion. Be there as Mexico and its world stars like Raúl Jiménez, Edson Álvarez, and Santiago Jiménez take on Turkey. Tuesday, June 10th at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. For more information, visit somoslocales.com.
Global Golf is Carolina's largest pre-owned golf store. June 6th and 7th, you're invited to the 2-day sidewalk sale. This Friday and Saturday, don't miss huge deals like drivers starting at $50, name brand apparel starting at $25, shoes starting at $40, and golf bags of all kinds starting at $50. You're invited to the Global Golf Retail Store sidewalk sale, located on 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh. Global Golf, home of the best deals in golf.
Special tennis update sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. The top 2 seeds usually do not meet in a Grand Slam final, but it's going to happen Saturday in Paris for the women. Could take place Sunday in the final for the men if Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz both win tomorrow. Top seed, Aryna Sabalenka, dethroned 3-time defending champion Iga Swiatek. Interesting first set. Sabalenka led 4-1 and then trailed 5-4. She won in a tiebreaker. You don't often win a set when you've lost 4 games in a row. Swiatek did win the second set, but it was all Sabalenka in the third. She won at 6-love. Second seed, Coco Gauff took out France's wild card Cinderella Louise Poisson 6-1, 6-2. This will be Coco's third Grand Slam final. She lost to Swiatek 3 years ago in Paris. She beat Sabalenka at the 2023 U.S. Open. Sabalenka, Saturday, will look for revenge. John Stanchower, Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on home insurance by checking Allstate first.
Hold it.
Like you know to check the assembly instructions first.
Hold it.
Before building the bookcase.
And done. Whew. You can let go.
Yeah, checking first is smart.
Ugh.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Potential savings vary. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is Adam Gold.
He doesn't have many years to choose from.
No, and part of that was COVID. Nobody's picking COVID.
COVID was a great year.
Yeah.
Look, if you invested in Zoom,
oh, that was a good year. Yes.
You had a good year during COVID.
Yep.
The Adam Gold Show.
So if you follow the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes, you will probably understand and know that the Carolina Hurricanes have a ton of assets that they have at their disposal this year, Victoria. Tons. Tons for the Carolina Hurricanes. Multiple first-round draft picks. They have 6 over the next 4 years. They also have, potentially, depending on what they might do trade-wise before the NHL free agency hits, it's somewhere possibly around $30 million in cap space, Victoria. Somewhere between 28.5 to 30, depending on, hey, if we move Scott Morrow back down to the American Hockey League, well, guess what? That's about $900,000 we can use to potentially sign for someone else. Yeah, exactly. Does Bradley Nadeau come up, or do you send him back down to the AHL to let those two young guys continue to cook and grow a little bit more? Well, guess what? That's about another $850,000, $900,000. So there's basically like $1.7 million right there. So that's why I say somewhere between like $28.5 to $30 million. Somewhere in that range. If you go to The Athletic, if you subscribe to The Athletic, they do a lot of great stuff there. And, of course, there's the NHL free agency, the Mitch Marner sweepstakes, Victoria. The number one free agent on pretty much everyone's board. They ranked all 32 potential landing spots. The most likely fits, there were 4 teams listed, Victoria. The Vegas Golden Knights, because Vegas goes after everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think Vegas has the money to spend.
No.
Utah, the Mammoth, because
they have money to spend.
They actually do have some money
new.
to spend. The LA Kings. LA, all right. See him alongside Quentin Byfield, maybe. And your Carolina Hurricanes, Victoria.
Hey, what do you say?
Sorry, I just wanted to hear John.
That's fair.
I feel like it's appropriate.
So, Carolina Hurricanes are desperate need of a top-end scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they have a couple of needs on their team. I say a couple, right about 3 needs on their team. They need to get at least a second center. They need to get a number 2 center. Or if they go after a number 1 center and Aqua becomes your number 2, that's fine. But they need a top 2 center. They need a top-end scorer, like a winger that can score. I'm talking that can put up 90-plus points. And they probably need a right-handed defenseman that can go alongside Jacob Slavin for this upcoming season. That's it. Like, it's 3 real gotta-have-it spots this offseason that you can fill. Now, that doesn't mean they won't make other moves, potentially. They might go after a goaltender. Do you make a trade for a goalie? You potentially could make a trade for one of those top 2 centers because the free agent market is slim pickings. But do you make that move? But the biggest free agent that's out there, the biggest fish to catch, is Mitch Marner. Now, we have reports, and multiple places confirmed it, that at the trade deadline this past season, the Carolina Hurricanes, they were looking to trade Mikko Rantanen. And they, being the Canes, offered Mikko Rantanen to Toronto and said, hey, Mikko Rantanen, Mitch Marner, straight up. Let's make a move. Now, Mitch Marner, in the last year of his contract, had a no movement, no trade clause. So the Toronto Maple Leafs approached him and said, hey, just to let you know, this is being offered, will you be willing to accept this trade, yes or no? Now, Marner said, no, I won't waive my no-trade clause for that. Here's a caveat, something I actually didn't understand at the time, Victoria. It was like, yeah, he had a no-movement clause, but at that time, he was about to become a father for the first time. So on a personal side of things, hey, you're about to become a dad for the first time. Do you really want to uproot and move and try and go on a postseason run and everything that goes with that while becoming a dad for the first time? That's a lot. I don't blame someone for being like, no, I want to stay put for right now because it's the best thing for me personally in my personal life. Now, on the ice, we'll see. But that hasn't, by all accounts, deterred Carolina from still going after Marner, which actually this could be the best of both worlds, Victoria, when you think of it. Because, okay, Mitch Marner said, no, we won't. I won't do a trade right now. Again, about to become a dad. Probably wanted to see things through with Toronto. He'd been there for so long. I get it on the personal side of things. Not saying he wasn't interested in Carolina. It just wasn't the right time. Imagine, again, Victoria, you get the best of both worlds. That you traded Mikko Rantanen and said to Dallas, you got those picks, you get Logan Stankoven, and you're still able to go get Mitch Marner?
That'd be great.
Oh, give it to me, Victoria. In my veins.
Right?
Now,
here for it.
Here are a couple things to keep in mind. A big question about Mitch Marner is, okay, what about the postseason production? Now, again, that's also a Toronto thing as well, because Toronto has won 2 postseason series in like this century. That's it. And people give crap about the Canes for winning 2 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, it's just, I don't know, something in the water up there. I think for Mitch Marner, because he's from that area, he wanted to play for that team. Obviously, a ton of expectations that come with it. Put up a lot of points and stuff in his time there. But again, the postseason success just hasn't been there. It hasn't been there, obviously, with him, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, John Tavares, that core 4 that they put together. That production in the postseason just simply wasn't there for that group. There's also a lot of questions about the front office with Toronto, about what they put together with that roster. That's a different conversation. The biggest thing is if he goes to a different area, to a different team, how things can change for a player mentally.
Yeah.
Because the Toronto media, when it comes to the NHL, it's like the New York media when it comes to like the Yankees, or the New York media when it comes to the Giants, or the Dallas. What's that?
Hockey.
Yeah, hockey.
just hockey too.
But like that's how Toronto. Like imagine like the New York media with the Knicks or the Giants or whatever it might be. The LA media when it comes to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of attention and pressure that comes with it. Come down here to Raleigh, you generally don't have that kind of. You don't have that really.
Oh no, you still got people saying South doesn't know anything about hockey.
Yeah,
that's what they sound like.
That's a different conversation. But I'm talking from like a media and pressure standpoint. Now, obviously, Carolina Hurricanes fans, if Mitch Marner comes here, they want to expect they should expect results. I mean, that just comes with the territory of playing a sport. But you also aren't part of the circus. I actually remember because I wanted to experience the circus myself, Victoria.
Yeah.
I remember when the Toronto Maple Leafs came down to Carolina. I think they came down here twice this past season. But I remember one of the games, covering the game at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, that after the game I said, you know what? I'm going to go down to the Toronto locker room just to kind of get a feel of like, what's it like this group?
What's the vibe?
Yeah, what's the vibe and stuff with this group, but also just kind of, I wanted to see. I always like to get a comparison because I know Mitch Marner was going to be a free agent. Like, all right, size-wise, like, what does this guy look like? What's personality? I just try and get a gauge sometimes of what other teams are doing, but also I like to hear what other teams say about Carolina. I'm like, okay, is there something that's consistent about how other teams talk about the Canes that it's like, oh, okay, so this is how other teams and other media markets view and other players view Carolina. And sure enough, I was like, oh, there's a circus of people from here from Toronto. Like, oh, okay, all y'all got passports. Okay, I get it. See how it is. But the amount of people that were there for Toronto to cover that team for a road game in Raleigh, like February or whatever it was, I was like, man, y'all got to deal with this on a daily basis. I can only imagine when you're actually in Toronto.
Yeah.
Because this is just the media that traveled. So you get away from that situation. I think it'd be a blessing for a guy like Mitch Marner. An absolute blessing. Where you can actually go around Raleigh and be in this area and really lay low.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go out and do everything you want. As him as a new dad, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are in their late 20s, early 30s that are like, yeah, I got a 1-year-old or whatever it is. I like to go do all these kinds of things. I like being able to go in the community and do all the stuff that I want to do. Players generally like staying here and like to live here even after their careers are done. Someone say, well, Nico didn't want to be here. Yeah, one guy. Wow.
And it could have been him or his girlfriend, so we don't even know the whole story.
Again, there's the whole family element of all this stuff. But by all accounts, Mitch Marner, if he comes to Carolina, in my eyes, Victoria, he obviously slots in number one line right away, which I think would allow, my eyes, if he plays alongside Sebastian Aho and let's say Seth Jarvis, it allows you to move down Andrei Svechnikov into your middle forwards. The middle six group, second, third line, which is okay. You're going to get a lot more favorable matchups in those situations if you can find centers that can get those guys the puck, in my eyes. Now, there's also a possibility that Nikolai Ehlers from the Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg has the money to re-sign and bring back Nikolai Ehlers, who's 29 years old. A lot of the stuff that, again, written out there on The Athletic, a lot of the advanced numbers, we know that Carolina Hurricanes are very big on that stuff. A lot of the advanced puck possession numbers fit right in with what Carolina does.
I do.
A lot of those advanced metrics in terms of puck possession and carrying the puck through the neutral zone, is the way he's able to enter the zone by carrying the puck. That's something that Carolina loves to have. That's something that Carolina loves to have, and it fits the system quite well. He's not the biggest guy, though. He's 29. Do you want to give a 29-year-old who's not the biggest guy a 7-year contract?
Right.
I don't know if you want to do that. Now, if it's like 4, 3, all in. So that's another big-time question you have to do. But again, they still need down the middle of the ice. If they go after Marner, awesome. A player, Victoria, I would love to see the Carolina Hurricanes go for.
Wouldn't hate it.
They need size. They need more scoring. And they need a center, in particular a right-handed one. You know who's a big guy at 6'6", 220 or so pounds? A guy that can score, and a guy who's right-handed that plays center. You know who fits all that? Tage Thompson, Buffalo Sabres. Wow. Tage Thompson, Buffalo Sabres.
That is a massive person to be on blades.
And he can skate, too. He's a big-body guy who can score, and he can skate really well. Guess who also is now an assistant up there in the front office with the Buffalo Sabres? Eric Stahl. You know who's the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres? Former Carolina Hurricane and Eric Stahl teammate Kevin Adams.
Nice.
Maybe that was the play all along, Victoria. We just had to plant some guys in there. It's an inside job. It's an inside job. Just had to plant the guys where they needed to be. It's an inside job.
It's also clear now. Pieces are coming together.
You might have to trade Andrei Svechnikov and Jesperi Kotkaniemi to go get a Tage Thompson. Okay. If I can go get and use that money, I can go get Tage Thompson and then potentially also add Mitch Marner and still even go after Nikolai Ehlers. Who says no?
How can you?
Who says no? Throwing that out there. Tage Thompson. Make it happen.
We need big dudes. It'd be fun to have big dudes. We don't necessarily need them, but it's always nice to have a big dude or two on your team. That way, you know.
They need size in their top 6 of their forwards. They need size in the top 6 of their forwards.
Be helpful.
Andrei Svechnikov can't be just your only quote-unquote big guy.
No.
Can't be just that. Again, Tage Thompson, right-handed. And Tage Thompson has a 5-team no-trade list. He makes $7.1 million. And he's signed all the way through the next 5 years. He's 27 years old. Signed all the way until 2030. He has 5 more years left on his contract at 7.1. You know how many points he put up this last year, Victoria? 72.
Wow.
He had 44 goals and 28 assists in 75 games.
Too shabby.
Back in the 2022-2023 season, a couple years ago, he had 47 goals and 47 assists in 78 games. Tage Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen, Eric. Talking to you, Tulski. I should have told him this yesterday.
I know, I was going to say, we
should
just
have
had
told him this
here.
yesterday. Dang it. Missed my opportunity. It's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. It's a big night in sports if you're an NBA fan and a basketball fan, but there's not an NBA team, but a team that's actually running itself like an NBA team here in the state of North Carolina that has a lot of pressure on their head coach. Also, it's a fun day if you're a gamer. Next on the Adam Gold Show.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know Medicare fraud is costing us $68 billion a year? The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medical Patrol Program's goal is to reduce Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. If you suspect any billing or Medicare fraud issues, we're here to help. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are finally here. The NBA Finals. It's Magic versus Larry. Wait, no, okay, it's not Magic versus Larry. Doesn't matter. It's the finals, and you can find everything you need for the finals, including live betting, right there on the FanDuel app. It's the best app in the business. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late. And new customers, $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So pick something easy, win it, and cash in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy. You're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This is Adam Gold.
There will be tushes pushed in the NFL in 2025.
Push and tushes.
There you go.
Happy Hump Day!
That's brilliant.
The Adam Gold Show.
You know, I could make a joke about this song and that promo that's coming in, Victoria, but I'm not gonna. I'm not going to. I'm going to avoid that.
Right.
For all of our sake. By the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold, Victoria Vodnecker producing the show as always. If you're a fan of video games and maybe you have kids that are, maybe you are yourself, I enjoy playing video games. Unfortunately, during like the bulk of the sports season, I don't get a whole lot of time to play because I'm constantly having to go to games and cover games or whatever it might be.
Adulting always gets in the way.
Being an adult. Now, I don't have kids of my own, so I have the opportunity to do stuff, you know, outside of that some people that have kids don't have the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If you're a gaming fan, especially Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch 2 dropped today.
Nice.
Good luck finding it. That's all I'm going to say, because trust me, I looked online.
Yeah, and it's gone.
They had like a bundle package where there's like a little extra monitor, and they included like the Mario Kart game and things along those lines. So it was like a bundle of like some extra stuff that came with the actual console and stuff itself, and it was like $500. I was like,
okay.
Let's see, do I go for this?
Yeah.
Or I'm a big sneaker guy. Like, I could buy a couple really nice pairs of sneakers for that. Or you know what? Maybe the next tattoo. I don't know. Like, what do I save up for, Victoria?
Right.
So in honor of the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, we like to do a thing here when you and I are together, Victoria, doing the show. We like to do a thing called blind rankings.
Yes.
So here's a blind ranking for those who don't know. We did it earlier, ranking Carolina Panthers players on defense specifically, Carolina Panthers defensive players, non-rookie edition. But we're going to do a blind ranking, something fun here, where as opposed to just listing my top 5 favorite sports video games of all time, as opposed to doing that, Victoria's just going to give you the name of a sports video game. And I got to slot that in somewhere between 1 through 5. Again, it's a blind ranking. I don't know the list.
Yep.
Victoria, take it away.
Okay. And I have to have
fitting music.
I have to have this. All right.
Just going for those gold coins.
Kicking things I know always.
Just going right for that flagpole.
Since NBA Finals Game 1 is tonight, NBA Jam.
Oh, gosh. You come out with a heater right from the get-go.
Yep.
Oh, NBA Jam was awesome. Of course, I play with the Charlotte Hornets.
Of course.
NBA Jam was such a fun game, and it still is. NBA Jam is a classic. There's a place in Raleigh downtown that I enjoy going to. It's a barcade, and man, I love playing the NBA Jam.
I love barcades.
It's so fun.
Beer and games, yes.
NBA Jam. Oh, this is tough because there's a lot of great sports video games out there. I'm gonna go 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 3 on NBA Jam, but NBA Jam was absolutely fire.
I know. This is good. This one might be another one that you feel the same way about.
'Kay.
I know some do. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Did you ever play that?
Pro Skater or Pro Skater 2?
I know that there's a difference.
There is. Are you talking about the original Pro Skater?
Yeah, that was
Or
what
the
I was
franchise?
putting on there. I know that Skater 2 is the best.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was absolutely awesome. Now, if you're going the original here, still a very good game. But Pro Skater 2 was where it was at. But you just said Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the original. I'm probably going to go 5 on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go, it's still a good game, but if you said Pro Skater 2, different conversation.
Yeah.
Different conversation.
All right, this next one is right up your alley.
Okay.
WWE SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain.
Oh, Here Comes the Pain? Oh. This might go 4 for me.
Okay.
I was a big WCW, the NWO World Tour was a good one. But yeah, the SmackDown, A lot of those classic wrestling games are actually really, really good.
Mhm.
But I was actually a big WCW NWO World Tour was on N64 was one of my favorite video games of all time.
Oh, nice.
But the one you just mentioned, I'll probably go 4 on that one.
Yeah.
So right now we have 3. We have NBA Jam, number 4, WWE SmackDown, and then we also have number 5, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the original, not 2.
Right, the original.
Okay, so now the only slots we have left open are 1 and 2.
I know.
So we'll see. Victoria, what's next?
All right, the next one, Mario Golf.
Mario Golf? Go Mario Golf on me. I'm gonna go 2 on this one.
I have to have a Mario.
I'll go 2 on this one.
This-
Golly, Mario Golf. You come out with that one.
I know.
Ugh.
This might be a lot of people's number 1, so you might have done
All right,
that one.
Number
okay.
1 slot is open.
Tecmo Bowl. Let's
Oh,
go.
Tecmo Bowl. Tecmo Bowl is a good number 1 right here. Tecmo Bowl is a classic.
Yes.
It's one of those things now where it's like, okay, you can't play with Bo Jackson.
Right.
Bo Jackson was a cheat code in that game. Like, you literally could not tackle him. As long as you were zigzagging up the field, you could not tackle Bo Jackson. So if anybody that plays Tecmo Bowl right now, it's like an unwritten rule. It's like, all right, guys, you can't play. You can't use Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
You just simply can't.
The honorable mention was Wii Sports.
Wii Sports are underrated.
I know. As a whole, like,
I love the Wii boxing.
you had the bowling, you had the tennis.
Baseball, tennis, Wii golf.
I mean, this is great. This is great.
I like the Wii boxing.
Yeah.
Wii boxing was a lot of fun.
Yes.
That was in college. We had a Nintendo Wii set up in the house I lived in off campus my last couple years in college, and sometimes we would just have Wii Sports nights.
Yeah.
Like me and like three of my 3 roommates.
Right.
Just 4 guys. Like, all right, guys, here we go. Wii Sports night.
Got to be careful you don't throw the remote.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Or the controller.
Whoops.
Oh, no. I broke
Yeah,
the TV.
that's always said, like, put that strap on, tighten it up.
Yes, there's a reason.
So, yes, there we go. All right, so there it is. NBA Jam. NBA Jam, the first game that you mentioned. It is basketball. It's a big basketball night because the NBA Finals take place game 1. By the way, it's the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Coxon again for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria Vodnecker producing the show today. It's a big night basketball. You look at the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder constructed their roster in terms of how they went and acquired good, young, talented players, and they acquired a ton of draft capital, first-round picks from other teams that were looking to acquire superstars. So they built up a lot of draft capital, and they were able to draft a lot of these young, talented players and supplement them with some other pieces. That's how they built their team. That's how they built their roster. And we actually are starting to see in college basketball, teams construct their rosters in the exact same way. That same mindset, that same approach. And the report came out earlier this week that UNC basketball, under head coach Hubert Davis, they're seeing the number floated around of $14+ million in NIL for basketball. Like name, image, likeness, money. $14+ million to assemble that roster for UNC basketball. That's a lot of coin. It's a lot of coin. Now, UNC basketball on the roster this past season, they lost the likes of R.J. Davis, Jalen Withers, Jalen Washington, Van Allen Lubin, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson, and Drake Powell, all off of last year's team. That's 7 of their top 8 players. They either graduated, ran out of eligibility, transferred to other places, or in the case of Drake Powell, going to the NBA draft. If you want to throw in Cade Tyson, who was kind of like the 9th guy who saw a little bit of playing time, but not really a whole lot this past season, transferred out as well. The only guy you really have coming back from last year that was a regular contributor is Seth Trimble. He's going to be a senior on this team. He's going to be the senior leader on that roster. Now, you also have James Brown, who was a freshman this past year, who plays in the post. Maybe you see an increased role from him. But Hubert Davis said after the season that he wanted to have a general manager for his team. They talked about how they need to really restructure how they run things as a team. basically running it like a pro style, like a pro model. They got a general manager. They added more in terms of staff for recruiting and how the support staff, everything that goes with it. So they added Jim Tanner as their general manager, who's a connected NBA, an NBA agent, very connected with a lot of different people, understands dollars and cents, those kinds of things, negotiating. Also, again, a North Carolina alum. So they also, not only do you have that, the change with the quote-unquote front office of UNC basketball, but the influx of money as well. Because that's really what it comes down to. You got to be able to pay the talent. So the question is this, with that $14+ million that's reportedly out there, which is roughly around 3 times what they had last year in NIL money, did Hubert Davis do enough to build the roster that would exceed last year's disappointing year? Don't forget, last year, the NCAA tournament came out. The selection committee showed, all right, who are the last 4 teams in? The last team in to the NCAA tournament was North Carolina last year. There were serious doubts that they were going to make it. And there was a lot of contention about them being the last team in because Bubba Cunningham was the chair of the committee and all these other teams had similar resumes and so on and so forth. So it wasn't even like a lock that they were going to get in. That they played strong down the stretch, but there were a lot of rough patches during last season. So you added Jaron Stevenson from Alabama, Henry Visar from Arizona, Kyan Evans from Colorado State, Jonathan Powell from West Virginia, Jaden Young from Virginia Tech. You added a 5-star freshman in Caleb Wilson, who was a big-time recruit. He's a top 10 recruit, 6'9" forward. Derek Dixon and Isaiah Dennis, who are 4-star shooting guards as well. And I forgot to mention earlier in the show that Luka Bogovac, who's from Montenegro, also coming in as well. So they got an international player themselves. So that's who you've added to the roster to go with James Brown coming back, to go along with Seth Trimble coming back. Is this roster going to exceed last year? It's definitely different. And clearly there's been an overcorrection because last year the big point of contention for UNC basketball, the roster, was they don't have the size up front. They just simply don't have the size up front. But then you add Caleb Wilson, who's 6'9". Then you add in Henry Visar, who's 7 foot. Jaron Stevenson, like I mentioned, is 6'11". The guards that they added, Evans is 6'2". Jaden Young, 6'4". Jonathan Powell from West Virginia is 6'6". So now it's almost like you got a ton of size up front. Who are the true ball handlers? Kyan Evans, by all accounts, probably going to be your starting point guard. And then Seth Trimble himself is 6'4". So they got bigger, for sure. But one thing you have to keep in mind when it comes to North Carolina, especially now with North Carolina having to compete with Will Wade coming in for NC State and the roster that he's putting together there. You also have Duke and what John Shire's doing and the roster that he's put together. Remember, John Shire and Duke going into this last season, the only guys they really have returning were Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster.
Right.
Out of the regular contributors. That's it. Everyone else was new.
Mm-hmm.
And he put that thing together quite well. Obviously, he got to a Final Four. Came up short, but ultimately, he still got to a Final Four.
Yeah, they were there.
Hubert Davis can't have a repeat of last year. He can't have a repeat of last year, and he definitely, for darn sure, obviously, they're chasing Duke right now, because again, look what Duke's done the last couple of seasons under John Shire and how that program is continuing to grow under Shire and get better. UNC not only has to keep that, but they have to be ahead of that. That's their rival down the road. And they darn sure, if you're Carolina, you don't want the team in red in Raleigh to chase you down either. And Will Wade has already shown, hey, you know what? Van Allen Lubin, I'll take him off your team and put him on mine. That's what he did. Took Van Allen Lubin off of North Carolina's roster, who was in the transfer portal, brought him over to his own. Will Wade he's already shown he's not afraid to come after people. That's that type of competitor that he is. And you know what? As someone who's not a fan of Duke State or Carolina, I just get to sit back and enjoy it.
Right?
Have fun. I get to sit back and enjoy it. But that's what? Your competition, it's real. Did you know, Victoria, that a Hubert Davis recruited player has never made first team All-ACC? He's going into year 5. RJ Davis and Amadou Bacot have made first team All-ACC at North Carolina while Hubert Davis is head coach, but those guys were recruited under the regime of Roy Williams. Now, Hubert Davis was part of that coaching staff. I understand that. But a Hubert Davis recruited player has never made first team All-ACC. Now, RJ Davis, I know, won the Jerry West Award for shooting guard, best shooting guard in the country. He was the ACC Player of the Year a couple years ago. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm talking about a Hubert Davis recruited player. Does this team have that talent? Is there you look at somebody and say, yeah, that's first team All-ACC right there, off that talent. Maybe it's Caleb Wilson. Maybe it's that 5-star freshman, a top 10 guy that comes in. But you know who also is a highly recruited freshman coming into this last season? Was Drake Powell. Drake Powell's probably going to be a first-round pick in the NBA this year. Ian Jackson was also a highly touted recruit. And we even heard Drake Powell talking about staying in the NBA draft, saying, yeah, I feel like I can actually showcase my true talent. I was like, well, wait a second. You just came from North Carolina. You weren't able to showcase your true talent as a 6'6" wing? Now, granted, that's also part of roster construction as well, because Drake Powell had to play out of position so much last year. Hey, he's 6'6", long, kind of lanky, springy as an athlete, but he was forced to play down against bigs. So, again, he had to play out of position because, again, roster construction. Does this team have that this roster for North Carolina, have that first team All-ACC talent? To be determined. NC State and Will Wade is mostly, the roster is basically put together much like Hubert Davis. I mean, Paul McNeil's returning. They have a couple of freshmen that are coming in, a couple of highly touted ones, but pretty much everyone else is a transfer. Now, Hubert Davis obviously has been established in North Carolina going into year 5, and this is obviously Will Wade's first year, but the way these two rosters were constructed, very differently. Not very differently, very similarly. The different one is actually Duke. Duke's mostly a lot of incoming freshmen. A couple transfers here and there, but for them, it's mostly just incoming freshmen. And then other guys that they've built up through their roster. So yeah, Will Wade, NC State, Hubert Davis, North Carolina, the rosters built very similarly, heavy through the transfer portal. But the expectation in Chapel Hill with Hubert Davis has much more pressure. Because if you go walk into the Dean Dome, you look up in the rafters, that's your standard. Now, if NC State obviously wants to get to that point on a consistent basis, but Hubert Davis can't afford to have another season like he had this past year. And I love the fact that he was able to acknowledge the fact that there are things that I have to change to get better at for this program. He acknowledged that. Okay, the changes were made. Now you need to go do the job. I cannot wait. I know we still got football season, everything else still ahead of us. But man, I cannot wait till basketball season. I can't wait to see State and Carolina play. And it stinks that they only play once this season, Victoria.
No.
It stinks that State's not going to Carolina.
What a missed
I
opportunity.
hate this. ACC, what are you doing? Why are you denying us what has made this conference great? Why? You're taking something away that made this conference special. It's the rivalries, and you took one of them away, or you took part of it away. Why? I want State Carolina twice a year. I want Duke Carolina twice a year. I want Duke State twice a year. I want Wake against all those teams twice a year. It's the Adam Gold Show. I love you all. Until next time, I bid you adieu. Goodbye. Good night.
From the heels,
Touchdown, Carolina!
To the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best